Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another weekly dose of the rundown. The board is dusty. The board is dusty. My fault, my fault. Oh, join in with me as always, my brother from another, my co-host, all the way from New York, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good, man. It's getting a little cold out here, so I don't know how I'm really doing, but I'm gonna say good.
It'd be cold out here for like an hour, you know. It'd be cold out here for like an hour, then we back to that nice sunshine. It's a nice 86 right now. I'm not throwing that in your face though, I swear. And then of course, joined in, friend of the show. Y'all know he's always welcome on whenever he wants to. My man, all the way from the U, Mike on the mic. What's going on, Mike?
Rich K, man, thanks for having me again. Appreciate it. Just enjoying my college football Saturday, man. A little rainy, but I'm good, man. Ready to talk some hoops, some NFL, ready to get going.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, man, because it's been a minute since we've been on here. We've definitely missed you guys, and we got a lot to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So the NFL season has kicked off, and you guys know something that every year there's a team that comes out of nowhere, a team that's ready to shine. You can always count on it. You're never going to know what team it is, but a team will emerge. And one of those teams is the Miami Dolphins. Now, a lot of people have written off Tua Tagovailoa. You know, just is he that guy? He's got a noodle of an arm, things like that. Personally, I've always been a fan. I think, whenever he's not gonna be, he can be a guy that takes you over the top, but he is a guy that isn't gonna be able to overcome everything. Me personally, that's how I feel. But if you get everything right for him, that can be your guy. And I understand that, there were the talks of Deshaun Watson and things like that. Look, man, I love Tua, but if you got a chance to get Deshaun Watson, then you do, at least from a football perspective. I'm only talking sports. I'm only talking sports. That other stuff is that other stuff. And, y'all know how I feel about that. But that is what it is. But, Tua is the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and they went and did what they had to do. They added a piece to what teams should do when you want to find out if a guy is the guy, and the same thing that Philly's done with Jalen Hurts. You get him the pieces to find out, can he work with this? Can he do what he's got to do with the requisite pieces in place? You already had Jalen Waddle, you add Tyreek Hill. What does it turn into? It turns into a 3-0 start. A 3-0 start, an amazing 3-0 start. Tua looks exactly like he did in Alabama. I see more zip on the ball. I see confidence. I see fun football. Even added Mike McDaniel in there. This offensive mind, they're killing it. They're doing great things, and that led to that 3-0 start. That Buffalo game last Sunday, was probably the best game I've seen this season. I know we're only 3 weeks in, almost 4, but it was definitely some fun stuff to see. And, I'm looking for a lot from the Miami Dolphins. Now, unfortunately, Tua mid game got into the whole thing where his back they said his back went out, he was wobbling and whatnot, comes back into the game. A lot of us were shocked over it, but they're able to overcome it with a win. It was a little crazy how the game ended, but they're able to do that. We go to Thursday night, and dude just got thrown straight on his head. He was throwing up gang signs, throwing up the set, unfortunately. And now we got a team that's 3-1. Bengals back in the fashion. They're 2-2 now. Bengals 2-2.
Yes.
Okay, so I never counted out the Bengals. I know they just they got to overcome that O-line.
Right.
But that game aside, the big conversation is, and we got into this pre-show, is these teams, and specifically the league, just going to the bottom line and not where it's all about. It's not about our players, it's about our bottom line, and how can we preserve money, how can we make money. Should Tua have even been, when you're going from a Sunday to a Thursday turnaround, very short amount of time, short week, should he even have been out there? Yes, he was able to go and finish the game, but regardless, you got to look at that and say, we got to protect him from himself. We got to do a better job of making sure that we do what we got to do for our players. And we just saw that the independent, let me pull that up right now. The report was that the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant was just fired today for making a bunch of mistakes in his report, as he should, as he should. You know, you're over here playing with people's health. You're in a high position like that. You got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to do what you do. But now begs the question: why didn't anybody else sit there and say he shouldn't have been in that game to begin with? Go ahead, Mike.
So I mean, yeah, man, like it's really disappointing because, like you say, you handpick these. Well, not handpicked because they're not associated with the team, but they're handpicked by somebody, like somebody in the NFL, to make sure there's no bias. And so, yeah, go ahead and get there. Go ahead and get back in the game because we could use this win. And somebody like that you're trusting to, whatever, is not supposed to be making mistakes like that. Like you're hired, you're paying big bucks to make decisions about people's health, and several mistakes. The report says by Marcel Louis Jacques. The title of the article says unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant who evaluated Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa fired over, quote, several mistakes. Like you said, okay, yes, there's one main guy on the team, the neurotrauma consultant, but there's nobody else, like an assistant or somebody else saying, hey, whatever the case is he doing the paperwork by himself? That's just concerning. Now, the other part is that, like, they said it was a back injury, which anybody that's had a concussion or a back injury, seeing how he wobbled off, I felt that was insulting for them to say that that was a back injury. So let's just say, because it hasn't come out said that that game against the Bills that it was a concussion, but assuming that it was, and assuming that the one on Thursday night was as well, you're talking about two in less than a week. That is significant. Like you can't. I had a concussion one time in my life, and I felt weird, man. I felt weird. I went up for a layup, fast break layup. Dude undercut me. I woke up looking for him, and he was gone. And so it was, we were playing an outdoor court. This is not fun, man. I didn't throw up or anything like that, but you feel weird. They said he was good on the flight back home, laughing. He was watching a movie with Mike McDaniel and everything like that. But listen, I hope that they do what he has to do to make sure that he is taken care of and he passes every single test with flying colors in this concussion protocol right now, because even though his main problem coming into the league was his injury concerns and injury history, stuff like that, none of them had to do with, head concerns. It was more his hip and everything like that. But nonetheless, this is still an injury. This is your franchise quarterback. You have two capable backups that are, Teddy Bridgewater. We all saw the job that he did over in New Orleans when Drew was out, was undefeated as a backup. Skylar Thompson had a really, really nice preseason. So you ride with those guys. The Dolphins have been playing well as a team. That defense has been playing good. Mike McDaniels has proven to be a capable play caller up to this point. Sit him out, man. Sit him out. I don't know. Let me go ahead and pull up their schedule. So they're obviously off this week because they had the game on Thursday. So next up for them is Sunday. They got. Oh wait, here's the Dolphins schedule. Sorry, I didn't think I was going to get into it. So here we go. They're at the Jets on the 9th, right?
Winnable game. It's one. I mean, Zach Wilson's back. That's winnable game without Tua.
And then they come back home against the Vikings on the 16th. Like, I plan for him to be out because the last thing you want, you already got the NFL breathing down your neck right now as to what the hell really happened during that Bills game. But, just to ease the conversation, I think it's smart to not play him, just to make sure he's okay on the 9th. But it's an unfortunate situation all around. And if it's the case that this dude, his mistakes, let's just say, I know I'm speculating, but maybe they were okay. Yeah, he can get back in there. Let me just go ahead and put whatever on this report. That's exactly why I stopped watching the NFL when I did back in 2018. I had a paper that I had to do for a class, and I did it on CTE. I was disgusted by the findings that I had in that paper because this goes back to when Paul Tagliabue was the NFL commissioner back in the 90s. There was so much important information regarding players' livelihood and health that was purposely held back for the sake of the almighty dollar. It made me sick. So when people say, "Oh, I'll stop watching NFL," normally it's because of the Kaepernick situation or the knee situation or whatever. No, this made me turn my head towards the NFL. I've always been more of a college football guy anyway, but this situation right here, it's disgusting, man. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I agree with what both of you guys said. Obviously, it didn't seem like he should have been back out there. I seen some players saying that. I seen some people saying. I think Stephen A. said this. Like, it's kind of on everybody. Like, a teammate should have told him he shouldn't have been out there. He should have. Like, people have to stop him from himself in the reports or whatever. But I think the bottom line is with we all know what type of game these players play when you go out there and play football. You have to kind of go on the side of precaution every time, and I
Right.
think with the Dolphins being 3-0, it's probably one of their best starts in a few years. I think that the team was just maybe looking to get keep the winning going. You know, Tua was
Hmm.
obviously playing well, so I think that's part of the problem. And obviously now everyone involved has to, like you said, that guy got fired, so
Hmm.
it's gonna come down to that. Obviously, we have to protect the players and things like that. But I think Miami riding that high, they kind of wanted to keep going. But I think this is just like another wake up call for everybody that we have to side on the side of precaution like all the time when it comes to this sport.
Got
And
to.
this is a team too that doesn't like because you said what really resonates with me too is like you saying Miami like wanting to keep the winning going. That's something you need to think about. This is not a team that needs this right now. You're not even a month or two removed from what everything that happened with ownership, right? So you do not need more bad press. And like it sucks because for Dolphins fans, I'm sure like they're loving, we're finally winning. We haven't been able to address the next quarterback, the heir apparent to Dan Marino in 2-3 decades. And
Hmm.
here it feels like I know it's early, but it feels like you got one, and it's highs and lows. You're winning, but then like I said, we have the whole thing with ownership and coaching
Flores.
with Brian Flores, and now this trotting out a player that probably shouldn't have been out there. So it's not like again, not the best look at all.
My thing is this, and look, I know that I'm in a minority when this happened. But back in 2020, I was one of those people that said, why are we even playing sports? I know I may be, far right or left or an extremist in that sense, but to me, I think it made a lot more sense, especially with something that had just come out and we didn't know anything about, had no education about. I'm talking about COVID, but I'm sorry, I value my health over everything else. And I just felt that, it was a situation where um, sports didn't need to be played. I get the money situation, but that's no, man. As many lives were lost about, but I'm making the connection because it feels like kind of like the same thing. Like, yeah, he'll be right. Go ahead and put it back in there. We want to win. Like wins over health. That's really disappointing. Like you said, or Stephen A. said, everybody was at fault, and that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, and just to kind of wrap this one up, like because I like what you said, Mike. Sports is supposed to be a luxury. This is not something that is a need of ours, even
Mm-mm.
though some people might feel that way. It's supposed to be a luxury, and we're supposed to earn these things. Specifically with COVID, as a society, we kind of failed a little bit. So we didn't really earn the right to be able to view these things until we got right as a society.
Right.
But it's the this is who we are. You know.
Right.
Guess let's get in. We got a big game going on tomorrow night. Can I know I didn't say this to y'all before, but am I the only one who feels like the bigger games haven't been primetime games lately?
So Sunday night, it was prime time for me. I'm a Niners fan. I'm still pissed off at how the way that ended. By the way, I'm glad Jimmy's back. I'm not glad that my boy is hurt. Trey Lance is hurt, but I'm glad I'm a Jimmy guy. That was a prime time game.
He laid a
That
stinker
wasn't
though,
the
Mike. He
huh?
laid a stinker. Jimmy
I
Jimmy
know
laid
he
a
misses a
stinker.
lot of open guys, man. He doesn't even throw to. It seems like he doesn't even see the open guys. So I get. I
Wow,
was,
that's why they were ready to move on though.
but he wins, bro.
He
Bro,
wins.
he's
He
31
does.
in 16 as a
He
starter.
does. He does win. But you know what? He's limited. You can
Yeah,
win with him,
yes,
but you
yes,
cannot win with him.
yes, yes. I am not denying that. I've seen, the highs and lows of Jimmy. bro, but they play around him. And not to say that they wouldn't play around Trey, but that locker room loves Jimmy. They love him. And it's like you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the good with the bad. But yeah, he played a bad game on Sunday night, man. But to answer your question, I don't think that was the best game last Sunday. Last Sunday, what was the best game in your opinion? Because I
It was
can't remember.
Miami.
Well, duh, yeah, that was I could believe that was a noon game. Well, not noon, but 1 o'clock game. Eastern Standard Time. That definitely should have been a Sunday night game, or at least I don't know, 4 o'clock game, something.
They needed to flex that. That needed to you have the ability to flex it. Once Miami came back there on the what was it 35 12, 35 12, 35 15 against Baltimore.
Hmm.
That's when it was just like, all right, we know Buffalo's a Super Bowl contender. Miami's 3-0 after coming up big on a very good team. We need to flex this. We got to,
Yeah.
especially like, all right, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it because I'm like, it's still Jimmy Garoppolo. Nah, they needed to flex that. They needed to flex that. And it's a divisional rivalry. They needed to flex that.
I agree. I agree. And then I mean they did a good job Monday night. You had Cowboys Giants. That's always a good game. Even when teams are down, that's a game I want to watch. And I have no stake and no dog in the race. I like watching those two teams play, and it ended up being a one-score game. So
We'll get into that. So yeah, we got a big game tomorrow night. Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens. I've seen a bunch of things, man. I hate sometimes when we gotta compare. You like what you like. I like fruity pebbles. That doesn't mean I don't like Rice Krispies. I just like fruit. I like Rice Krispies too.
right.
Why do we gotta say which one's better, right? We're over here having these conversations about who's got the bigger game, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. You know what, man? At the end of the day, these guys both got huge games, and I'm sick and tired, and I don't understand why. Was it year 5? We're in year 5 now. Why is it in year 5 that we still are trying to make it about Lamar Jackson throwing the football? This guy is a good thrower of the football.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have talk. Rashad Bateman is in his second year, really first year, because he barely played last year. You got a couple other guys. His biggest weapons aren't even wide receivers. They're tight ends, guys who are supposed to be blocking majority of the time. And he's still getting it done. He's still giving you plus 200, almost 300 yards a game, still making it happen. The guy is electric in different facets of the game. And it is a damn shame. It is a travesty. And the Baltimore Ravens better figure out a way to fix it, or they're going to ruin their franchise, that they didn't give him the contract that he needed. Once you saw Deshaun Watson get what he got, you know what thinking people think. What is this person that matter to me? What does he matter to me?
Right.
And Lamar Jackson matters everything to that franchise. You go as he goes. So they really dropped the ball with that one. And he's on his Aaron Judge right now. He's making him pay because dude is going out balling every single second. Did I want to see him go out without having guaranteed money? Of course not. I don't want you having to risk your body like that without making sure you're compensated properly.
Right.
But I'm all for a guy doing what he's got to do to show out. And if the Baltimore Ravens don't pay him, somebody else will.
And you want to know who that somebody else is going to be? It's going to be another team in the conference because something tells me he's staying in conference, just not to stick it to him, but that's just the way things work, right? You're talking about a guy who currently, right now, as we sit, before games played tomorrow, the number one rated quarterback in the NFL with a 119 rating, ahead of Patrick Mahomes, who's at 112.1. QBR, okay, he's second in the NFL behind. We were just talking about Tua Tagovailoa, 78.5, Lamar Jackson, 78.1. I'm going to ask you a stupid question. I don't know if you know the difference, but what the hell is the difference between QBR and then the rating? I don't know what the difference is.
QBR is not the rating?
QBR is separate from the actual rating. So, like I said,
QBR is the more important of the two because that gives you a better overall picture of how they are performing.
Okay.
As a quarterback.
Okay. Well, thank you for that because I wasn't sure. Well, in that sense, Tua Tagovailoa, like I said, 78.5, barely edging out Lamar at 78.1 in the NFL. But then you look at completion percentage, and this is something that people were that was the talk about Lamar Jackson. He right now in the NFL is completion percentage 17th, 63.6, right in the middle of the pack, ahead of Jameis, behind Kyler, 2 spots behind Joe Burrow. But he's leading the team, and I think that was kind of expected because when you say, "All right, watch me," with a guy that's talented like that, that says, "All right, watch me," you better watch out because, bro, the other part of his game right now in terms of passing yards, he is uh okay, 17th as well, 749 in the NFL. I'm sorry, in the league. Touchdowns, the league leader right now is Lamar Jackson with 10. Second place is Josh Allen with 9. Each have thrown 2 interceptions. But Lamar Jackson, he's taking the bull by the horns, man. I think he's taking it personal. Just like Jordan said in that documentary, and I took that personal. I think that's what Lamar's doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think when obviously the Ravens didn't pay him his money, that like you said, he probably took that personal. Now, obviously, it's looking like the Ravens may have to pay him more, or someone else is going to pay him. So we'll see how it turns out. But you know how players play in contract years. We've seen players who
Yeah.
aren't superstars go crazy in contract years. So that's
hmm
just how
hmm
contract years go sometimes. Look at the situation with the Yankees and Aaron Judge. They got to pay that guy a lot of money too. So you know how the contract years go.
Yeah, he's gonna get his money regardless. I just hope he stays a Yankee. But as the great Fat Joe once said, yesterday's price is not today's
Nope.
price. Yesterday's price
Went
is
up.
not today's price. Yesterday's price was 230 mil guaranteed.
Yep.
It ain't that no more. It
Nope.
ain't that no more. Somebody's setting the market up again. Somebody's
And can
like I
you
said.
imagine? My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna end it with like he's getting paid. He's gonna get that money. You might have to, even if you got a franchise tag him, he's gonna get his bread. He's gonna get that money.
Can you imagine if he performs well in the playoffs?
Oh, I'm betting.
Which has been the knock on him.
That's another thing too. That's false. Cause like, look, you said it's like I hate 75-yard run. He's throwing bombs, and
Yeah.
you've seen him throw bombs. I've seen him beat I think even in that Kansas City game, late, because that was a
Yeah.
prime time game. He threw with seconds on the clock, put him in a position to win the game. Like I know what it is. I'm not gonna say it. We all know what it is at the end of the day. But like we could cut the nonsense, man. Cut the nonsense. This dude is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Better than some of the quarterbacks you're trying to say he's not better than.
It kind of reminds me of like Tua because Tua was just I don't understand it. I'm the only thing I can think of with Tua and why he would get a bad rap or flack or whatever the case was is because of who came out with him. We're not even with him. Did him and Justin Herbert come in the same draft? I can't remember.
Yep.
Maybe that's why they were comparing him to Justin. But you look at Justin and his overall record, Tua has that, Justin had more weapons. Justin has thrown, I think the number is 4 pick sixes in his career. Tua hasn't. So it's just like they picking and choosing the narrative, and you can't move the goalpost like that. And that's the thing about being into sports, man. Like you got to look at everything. It's not like you're not going to be taken seriously. And these riders, I'm glad Tua finally has weapons to throw to because you're seeing he's able to do the job. I still disagree on how the Dolphins went about things several years ago because they were trying to get him weapons first, and I'm a staunch believer in building from the inside out. That's how John Lynch did it with the Niners, with my Niners, and you see how that's turned out. Even with lesser talent, perimeter on the perimeter to throw to, these guys are still finding a way to get into the NFC Championship game. A dropped interception away from getting to the Super Bowl two out of the 3 years, But they got him weapons. Obviously, the system's helping Mike McDaniel, so you're getting to see, and he's shutting people up. So those two are kind of in the same boat in that regard, and it's just crazy to me.
Okay, you got anything else on it?
Nah, I don't.
I guess let's just run into predictions on this game. I think this game is going to be fire. Again, my original question of the non-prime time games being better than the prime time game.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody explain to me how this ain't a prime time game, and it's the first game on the clock. From soon as kickoff starts, that's one of our first games. Crazy. We'll go Ravens. We'll go Ravens in a hard-fought game. So both of these teams got something to lose. I don't think it's going to be the end all for either team. I think they're both still playoff teams. They're both Super Bowl contenders, if you ask me. I'm gonna go Ravens though. I'm gonna go Ravens. I think they got this. I think Lamar continues this chase of betting on himself.
Go ahead, Kay.
Who are the Ravens playing again?
The
Bills.
Bills.
Bills. Ooh. The Bills are dealing with some injuries that maybe held them back a little bit against Miami.
Hmm.
Mm, where are they playing at?
Baltimore.
They're in
Yeah.
Baltimore. I'm gonna go with the Bills. Obviously, like Rich said, these are both maybe Super Bowl contenders, but I think the Bills they came out hot. Obviously, they dropped that one against Miami, but I think they'll be motivated after dropping that one against Miami to go in there against Baltimore and get a dub. So I'm gonna go with the Bills. And I think this is a good test for them if they're really that Super Bowl pick that a lot of people think they are. I think coming off that loss last week is going to be about how can they respond and go in and get a win against a very good team.
I'm kind of mad I told you to go before me because the words right out of my mouth. It's like you were in my head. Both teams lost to Miami, right? Baltimore lost at home. Buffalo lost on the road. Thing is, Buffalo lost a week ago, right? Baltimore, Buffalo lost to Miami a week ago on the road. This is going to be their second consecutive road game. I don't see them losing a second road game. I'm sorry, a second game. It just so happens to be on the road. I don't see that happening, but I think that they knew that they probably could have won that game. And even Josh Allen said in the post game press conference, credit to Miami, you do what you have to do, and other teams mess up. But he feels like the team got in its own way more than what Miami did. They know that they didn't play their best. You saw what Dorsey did in the post game press conference, not post game press conference, but in the press box. I loved it. I think that was awesome. So they didn't get to line up how they wanted to run one final play, and it was this stupid thing like that. It kind of lost them the game. Baltimore's coming off of a 37-26 win in New England. I know that they're home, but I think with the way knowing how Buffalo played last week, they feel like they should have won, scored more points, and the fact that it's a loss just a week ago and how big this game is, two of the three or the top teams in the AFC, I got Buffalo riding the ship, and I think they win. I'm gonna say not big, but I do think it's double digits, so at least 10.
I don't think so. I think that both of these teams are that good. Where I think it's a close game down to the wire.
I would love it.
It's gonna be a display of two quarterbacks and just watching them work. It's gonna be a
Okay,
fun game to watch, in my opinion. I don't think
sure.
it's indicative of can they respond if they lose this game. I think that if they lose this game, they lost to a really good team. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think like we should be killing if they lose to the
No,
Baltimore Ravens. It's like you couldn't respond. Now you're slumping. No, I think they lost to another good team.
But I
I
think
think that will be the. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think championship teams though get this done. I think a lot of people obviously it shouldn't hurt them
What
too
if these
much,
are
but
two championship teams though? What if these are two teams
right,
that are both capable of winning a
They
championship?
are, but
that's
one of them's
true.
coming off a loss.
But also the Bills are the ones that you picked to win it all. So I
I
feel like
did. I did.
if
I did.
you're the pick to win it all, then like Baltimore, we say they're a contender, but it's different when you're the pick like you're the favorite to win it all.
Yeah, I did. And the other conversations there too. Can you win the big game? Because every game that they have won has been a blowout.
Mhm.
So that I know that that's there too. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what. That was me speaking with my head. My heart rides with Lamar though. I'm not even gonna hide that. I hate that people hate on him. We know how good he is, and I'm tired of it. And I just want to see him go out and prove everybody wrong.
And then the other game is another. This is a game that's worthy of prime time, but the prime time game is KC at Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, I don't know if that game, as of right now, it's not rescheduled. It says 8:20
They said they're
p.m.
playing in Tampa. That's the
at
plan.
Tampa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Tampa.
plan. They'll play
I'm
in
just,
Tampa.
yeah. So I guess they're okay up there to have a game. Enough out there. Hopefully, everybody and whoever's watching is good. Hurricane Ian, did a number.
Yeah,
West Florida,
prayers to
Central
everybody out
Florida,
there too.
and then the Monday night game is LA at my Niners. So a good slate for tomorrow.
Super, super good slate. Super. Um, I didn't have this on the docket, but I feel like we can get a quick one in with this one. I don't know how y'all felt. I think as soon as AJ As soon as AJ Brown ended up in Philly, that was my even before he went up there. I had Philly, and y'all know I'm not a Philly fan. I had Philly as the clear cut winners to win the NFC East. I don't see anybody standing in their way. And you know it's crazy. We just got done talking about Lamar Jackson. NFC and AFC players of the month or of the week. Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts.
I love it because you want to know what? This is around the year, around the time in college football where, oh God, what was the USC quarterback that the Jets drafted and he didn't do
Darnold,
nothing?
Sam Darnold.
Darnold. So Darnold and Josh Allen, they were not Josh Allen. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts. They were, in college around the same time. I think that maybe they came out the same year or a year or so
Not the
apart.
same year. Year about a
Okay,
year or so
so about
apart.
a year apart. So
Maybe
everybody was
two.
talking about
Maybe
Darnold
two.
this. Okay. Darnold this, Darnold that, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, yeah, the dude is talented. We've seen that a dozen times. But I'm like, don't y'all value a guy that doesn't throw interceptions? And I get it. Alabama has everything that you need as a quarterback: O-line, coaching, receivers, blah, blah, blah. Five-star recruits, easy to win. Okay. But Nick Saban is not going to play you if you throw interceptions. Okay. And I keep saying Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts does not make mistakes. He is a well coached guy, easy to coach, listens, does not throw the ball. I love that he's shutting people up. And I hate to say I told you so for everybody. I have a buddy of mine, uh, Kayson, you probably know him. I don't know if you know Phil Rosumano, went to Miami around the same time that we were there. Big time Jets fan. Love Sam Darnold. I'm like, Phil, it ain't gonna happen. The dude throws too many picks. Yes, golden arm, California guy, whatever, USC guy. I mean, all the talent in the world, but look where he is right now. Look where he is right now, and it just goes to show you that it's not always about the sexy and this and that. If you don't throw picks in college and or the NFL, you are valued. And right now, Philly's looking down at everybody. 3-0, first in the NFC East.
I don't see them losing either. Not
Yeah,
anytime soon.
yeah. I think Philly looks real good. Obviously, we don't know how the rest of the division is gonna turn out. The Giants look good
I
so far. Dallas, we don't. I don't know what's going on in Dallas. Now, who's their quarterback now? Do you stay with Cooper Rush or do you go back to?
we're not doing that, man. We know at the end of the day what it is. I like
So,
Cooper, not that much though.
who's their quarterback? So I like how the Eagles have been looking so far. I think they got a chance to win the division. So we'll see how it goes. And Jalen Hurts has obviously been playing great. So we can keep it up. I'm happy kind of to like Mike's point because I think when Jalen Hurts first came out, I remember like his kind of rookie season, there was a lot of people maybe doubting him, not
It
knowing
was a
like if
controversy.
yeah, if not knowing if he could be that guy and stuff. So to see him playing well and coming out and seeing the Eagles play well, I'm kind of just happy for him. Obviously not too happy because I'm a Giants fan, so forget the Eagles. But they're playing well right now.
It was when he first came out, it was like, hey, we're drafting him to be more of a he's going to be a quarterback, but we're going to use him more as a weapon for Carson Wentz. But I think the front office knew what they were doing there. I think that, I think he was more of an insurance policy when they
Yeah,
drafted him.
yeah.
I don't even know if I think they liked him. I didn't think that they liked him this much. They don't think they thought he was going to be this. But once he became the guy, they were ready to bet everything that they needed to
hmm
on him, and it's worked out. I wanted Devontae Adams, and from what I heard, the Giants wanted Devontae Adams, but NFC rivals going to do what they do. The Cowboys traded with Philly. Philly gets Devontae Adams, and I know y'all saw that contested catch that he made last Sunday. They went for it on fourth, and I'm sitting there like, why are y'all going for it on fourth when you're already up big? Just take the points, keep it moving. And they went for it on fourth. Devontae Adams has a corner in his face, and he still makes the contested catch. So that's when I put my hands up and said, nobody's beating them in this division.
Wait, when?
This was last week against the Commanders. Obviously, they were going to beat the Commanders because the Commanders might end up with the number one pick this year. And
But
why?
who
Because
you
they have the Eagles' old quarterback as their quarterback.
right? But who you talking about? Because I know you're misspeaking because you're not talking about
Not
Devontae Adams.
Devontae. I'm sorry. Not Devontae. I'm over here. Not Devontae Adams. Devontae. Why am I having a brain
Oh,
fart?
Smith.
Yes,
Devonta
Devontae
Smith. Yes,
Smith.
yes, yes,
Sorry,
yes, yes. Okay,
Devontae Smith, the real
my
Tay.
fault.
Yeah, once he did that, I put my hands up. It was just like, yeah, no, ain't nobody in this division beating this team.
And I'm glad, man, because a lot of people were questioning he could play quarterback or whatever, and he is playing quarterback. The dude's not just a weapon; he's a quarterback. He's smart. Again, does not turn the ball over. That's his MO. You could call him a game manager if you want to, but I think when he has to let it loose, he does. He's a smart guy, and I'm loving this for him.
Yeah, I think they're gonna keep it going, man. You know who I give credit for developing him more for the NFL than anything though? Lincoln Riley. I think Lincoln Riley did it. Did
Oh
it amazing
yeah,
when
yeah,
he had
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Oklahoma.
And don't get it twisted. Yes, Lincoln Riley deserves credit because I mean, come on, you go there, you're going to get at least a little bit better in 1 year, or maybe a lot better in that offense. But that discipline and that knowing, like I'm holding on because everybody knows if you any quarterback that plays for Alabama is not throwing. Mac Jones didn't throw interceptions. Jalen Hurts didn't throw interceptions. Bryce Young doesn't throw interceptions. None of these guys throw interceptions. So I think that discipline, that definitely went a long way. And then, of course, like you said, the tutelage you get from a guy that look what he's doing at USC right now, ranked number 6 in the country. Caleb Williams, took him with him, but that definitely had a part in his development. So yeah, but shout out. I mean, 916 yards on the year, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 74.6 QBR, which is good for 5th in the NFL. Shouts out to Jalen, bro.
Yeah, man. And I mean, credit. I remember at one time when Bama was first starting this thing with this quarterback room. They're not known for producing quarterbacks. We got some of the young best quarterbacks in the league. They all share the same room together. Praise up for Mac Jones with the ankle. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I like his
Yeah.
game a little bit too with the Patriots. But hey, man, shout out to them. Last thing on the docket for the NFL before we get into some hoops talk, the New York Giants. We got to talk about the New York Giants. We got 2 fans here and then one man who is a believer in the quarterback over there.
I like him, man. I like him.
Hey, man, 2-0 start. 2-0 start. I haven't felt that way in a few years. Haven't seen it. And you know what? It wasn't the same as 2016. It doesn't feel the same because you know what? The 2016 Giants that went to the playoffs, that team was destined to fail because you relied on one player on offense, which was Odell Beckham Jr., and then your defense to win you games. And when it came time for the playoffs to come around, the offense, the defense ain't have nothing to give. They did everything that they could during the season, and Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest QBs of all time.
Right.
And the offense faltered. It was too cold. Guys couldn't hold on to the ball. You got the Miami trip that we don't want to speak about, but it just didn't feel the same. This feels different. Like guys are really buying into what Daboll's bringing. I love the fact that it's like we're not going to do whatever it is that the Patriots are doing anymore. We're not going to get one of Bill's cronies and bring them in, Guys guys that maybe they liked Joe Judge, but, you got to win. And, you can, you see it in press conferences when if a guy knows what he's doing. Judge is in there. When he was speaking in his press conferences, he's kind of just like he's being a douche for a better lack of a term. Like, y'all don't know what you're talking about. I'm smarter than you. I even seen Dable. There was one play in last week's game where they could have challenged, but then somebody up top let him know, don't challenge. We got the first down. And somebody tried to corner, one of the people in press tried to corner him with that question about not challenging, and he handled it beautifully. It was just like, hey, we thought about it, but we got word up top that everything's good, so I don't need to waste a challenge on that. And it's just like he knows what he's doing, man. People love. I mean, when they won first game and they had the Biggie on and he was just up. I'm like, I love this guy already. I don't need the tumbling in mud. I like this right here. and yeah, it's just different, man. It feels different. I think that this is a middle of the pack team. I think that they're coached extremely well. I think Baltimore messed up with, not keeping Wink Martindale over there. And you see it with the way that their defense plays. The Giants don't have a complete defense. They have a great front. not a great front, but they have a good front.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have anything in the secondary. You got some nice pieces, but you don't have much in the secondary. But they still find ways to affect offenses when they get on the field. And that's Wink Martindale all day. Even Kafka, what he's drawn up on offense, or just Dable, what he's inputting and just bringing it up to them, talking to them how he needs to talk to them. It's just different. I feel like they finally got the GM coaching pairing right. I love as soon as as soon as they hired Joe Shane, you had to know that Daboll was going to be the guy.
Right.
And I like it. I thought Joe Shane killed it in the draft. I like what Daboll is doing, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Like I said, I don't think that they're a playoff team. I don't think that they're going to be a bad team. I think that they're going to get some wins, and we'll see what happens this offseason.
I don't think they're a doormat for sure. They're definitely not a doormat. I mean, look, man, especially in the NFL, like college football, yes, but in recent years, it feels like the NFL is more unpredictable than college. I don't know how much that makes sense to you because college is as unpredictable as it gets. But nobody saw the Bengals last year. Nobody saw that.
I'm not gonna lie, Mike. I knew because I had seen Burrow. I watched Burrow. I always knew Burrow was a guy. I like Burrow.
Yeah, but a Super Bowl appearance
before. Maybe not Super Bowl, but I definitely thought if he's healthy, you just brought in Jamar Chase.
Right.
Healthy, they're a team. That's a good team.
I didn't think that they were going to go nearly as far as they did, especially with a struggling O-line, coming back from ACL, which is the reason that he tore his ACL. But the point I'm trying to make is going back to what you were saying about leadership. It goes a long way because if you get a locker room full of guys that will ride with a coach, bro, you find ways to win. And when you find ways to win, weird things start to happen in sports, man. Weird things start to happen in sports. You edge out the Titans, who just a couple years ago, 2 seasons ago, it's crazy how things seem so long ago when they're not. This is a team that, probably could have, should have, would have been in the Super Bowl, whatever. You win 21-20 on the road, okay? Go home, win a 3-point game against, the Panthers. You lose a winnable game, Monday Night Football, at home versus the Cowboys, and now you have to play a very winnable game against the Bears. Few plays here and there, you probably looking at 3-0, possibly 4-0. At best, I got them win, tomorrow at home against Chicago, 1:00 on Fox. Just 3-1 right now. You know what I mean? 0-1 in the division, but you talking with the win tomorrow, 2-1 in the conference, and then you go to the Packers, and that's you got to prepare for that. But everybody talks about the Belichick coaching tree and how unimpressive it's been. This may be the guy that breaks that mold and does have success away from Belichick. I love him. I love him as a coach.
Who are we talking about?
The Giants head coach right now.
He's not. He's not. I don't think he has any connection to.
I'm sorry, Dable. I'm thinking about Judge. I'm sorry, Dable. We make it. People play for guys like that, man. And Dable, you saw what he did in Buffalo. I get it. A lot of people credit Dorsey for Josh Allen's success, and they should because he did the same thing down in Carolina with Cam Newton. As soon as he gets his hands on them, they have MVP like seasons, but still Dable was the guy, which is, you make that move or whatever. But and it goes to show when they asked him about the replay thing that you brought it up, the trust that you have with your staff. Well, he doesn't have that ego that you said Judge had, and he tries to be the smartest guy in the room. And yeah, I know more than you or whatever. He's like, oh, you got it. I got word. Don't challenge it. Okay. That goes a long way. And not only with players see that, but staff, you feel comfortable. That goes a long way. Trust you. Cool. We get it moving. Chemistry goes a long way on and off the field. And, the Giants, man, if they could pull off an 8-9 win season, I think that's a super success.
Yeah, definitely. I think just hearing him talk and stuff, he talks a lot about holding everyone being held accountable. Everybody playing their role, everyone, so he makes it a team effort. I don't think he, like you said, thinks he's the end all be all, the smartest person in the room. So I think he's trying to build that. He's changing the culture, and I think that's kind of where you got to start with this. Obviously, you know how the Giants been the last couple of years, so he's coming in, he's changing the culture, and I think the players, there's a lot of young players on the team, so I think they're ready to come in and not worry about what it's been like in the past and ready to kind of just change the culture. And like you said, he seems like a coach that anybody would want to play for. He's like a player's coach. Even when you hear him talk, like they asked him about Tua yesterday, and you can see how upset he was about that. So he really cares about his players and uh, players first type of coach. I think they're also dealing with some injuries. Leonard Williams is out.
Yeah, man.
Kayvon Thibodeau just came back. So I think if Leonard Williams is there, maybe last game, the game maybe comes out a little different. So like Mike was saying, there's a good chance that they're obviously Shep just went out, but if like Mike was saying, a few different plays here and there, maybe they're 3-0. You go into this week, it seems like a winnable game. Maybe 4-0. You go into London next week against the Packers 4-0, and then you kind of just ride that way from there. So I like how things are going. Things seems like it's changing. So we'll just see how it goes. I think, like Mike said, if it's like an 8-9 win season, I think that's still a win for them because no one expected that kind of coming in. You're thinking it's Dable's first year, first head coach. These aren't his players. The last GM maybe left them not in the greatest position to do this or that with cap space and stuff like that. So to really make something out of nothing, to get these guys 8-9 wins, I think it's great.
That's when you got something, man. And that's why I felt bad when like Flores went, because I thought Flores didn't have a ton of pieces, but they were winning. You know what I mean? So like that's it's the future. The future's encouraging. They got a lot going against them too. Even like Joe Shane still has a lot cut out for him. You got a receiver getting paid 19, getting paid a lot of money. He's only on year 2 of a 4-year contract. They're not playing him that much because for obvious reasons, right? So I just feel encouraged. I feel very, very encouraged.
And then you find guys like Richie James and David Seals, guys who Richie missed all last season. David Seals, you find those type of guys and kind of make something out of them. They seem like they have a good connection with Daniel Jones. I think Richie James is his top receiver right now. So like I said, just kind of making something out of nothing, and I think that shows. So now you see him going forward. You get the right pieces in there. Who knows where this can go?
What the Giants need to do is what the Dolphins did for Tua. Get him what he needs, get him at least a decent chance to say, listen, I was worthy of being a top 10 pick. Don't pull the plug on me yet. Give me a second. Because, look, we talked about it pre-show. Quarterbacks getting ruined is real. Like, Chad Henne got ruined by the Dolphins. I'm sorry. That dude got ruined by the Dolphins. That dude was not supposed to have the crappy career that he did in the NFL. All right. I think he's Patrick Mahomes' backup right now. And that just was not supposed to happen. And that may be the case with Daniel Jones. Like I saw he did at Duke, and the dude did a lot, silently. I guess that's how it is when you play football at Duke. I mean, football at a basketball school. But dude has all the intangibles, can make the throws and this and that and the third. And I know it's just more than that. It's in the head and everything like that. But leadership goes a long way. And when you have a guy like Dable who had a hand in Josh Allen's development, then you and I were talking about it, pre-show, that a lot of the attributes that Allen has are in Daniel Jones. So I mean, give him some pieces. Give him some O-line help first, because I'm a really big believer in the following, that a good quarterback makes a great receiver, can make a great receiver. It's really the other way around. But if you have, look at Brady's first couple of Super Bowls, but he wasn't throwing to anybody. He wasn't throwing to anybody special. Deion Branch was his best receiver on one Super Bowl. I think Troy Brown, who ended up playing cornerback a lot of the time due to injury that year, was his best receiver. So it's not always about the weapons. If you have a good quarterback and you think he's the guy, he doesn't need much except some protection. Give him that, and then we'll see what Daniel Jones is working with.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think that it's going to get to that point. I feel like as the season goes on and just what they see from him, whether it's fair or not, I think that they're just kind of, when you have an arranged marriage, it's very hard for that to work out. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Daniel Jones was not drafted by Joe Shane and Brian Dable. I think that I think that they like what they have in certain people. And I think as this season goes on, like I said, I don't think, like, even let's go to Tennessee. They won that game on the hands of Saquon Barkley. And their offense isn't Daniel Jones throwing the ball. It's Daniel Jones running the ball. It's Saquon Barkley running the ball. I feel like as the season goes on, they're just going to kind of look at it as, this isn't our guy. He's not showing. We understand what he's working with, but he's still not showing us that he can. Great quarterbacks win in spite of certain things. And I get you need help. I do get that. Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm trying to get to, the point I'm trying to get to is I'm saying a whole lot of nothing just to say he's not their guy and they're going to want to go get their guy. And I would not that I want it to happen, but I would not be shocked if by the trade deadline, Saquon Barkley is on another team.
Whoa. Saquon?
Yeah. Whoa. I would not be shocked that Saquon Barkley is on another team for a first-round pick, and they use that first-round pick to get somebody that they want.
Okay, who's that somebody? Don't say quarterback. You saying quarterback?
I'm saying quarterback.
Ooh, talk about hot takes, bro. They get rid of Saquon, especially if y'all having a good year. They're going to piss a lot of people off in New York. That, I think, would be a grade A mistake, especially if Saquon's healthy, having a good year, and the Giants have 3 losses. Bro. that's ballsy if they get that done. We'll see. I like the take, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it'll be tough for them to get rid of Saquon in that case. I mean, you could chop it up to like, hey, he's not their guy, but I think it'd be really, really, really tough for them to get rid of him. I don't
think it's a. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kay. I don't even think that's Saquon's not our guy. I think that he's an asset.
But I think
that we can get something for.
Right, but that is like if you're gonna go completely rebuild. I think. In the position that they're in, they probably just think they're missing 1 or 2 pieces away from being at least a decent team, especially with the way this team has looked so far. So I think that you keep him, and then who knows? I think the guy who they might question is Daniel Jones, if that's really their guy at quarterback or not. And I don't think that's no knock on Daniel Jones or anything. It's just he was not their guy, their quarterback or whatever the situation is. So I don't think you get a first-round pick for him, but I think Kenny Galladay is definitely out of there if they can get something for him.
They tried. I know that they tried, but nobody. That's a lot of money. So they couldn't really get anything there. And then even like now, like I'm scared for tomorrow. They should beat Chicago.
Yeah, they should.
I don't know if you've got a depleted receiving core now because Shep's not the only one that's out. I think Stills is out as well.
Tony's out. Kadarius Toney's out.
Yeah, Tony's still out.
Tony's out.
Stills isn't out.
Nah, I think
there's a third guy that's not playing tomorrow.
Robinson, which is their rookie who played well in training camp.
Wendell Robinson, yeah. Okay.
He's out.
Damn.
Yeah, I think that's
so. You're running in tomorrow with Darius Slayton, who they were on the verge of cutting.
I like Slayton a lot, man. I don't know what's going on.
I did too, but what's going on? I love Slayton. I don't know what happened.
I feel like he played well in training camp from what I saw, but I don't know what's going on with Slayton.
With like the third and fourth teams. What happened?
Yeah, they're playing with the second team. I don't know what's going on. I like Slayton a lot. I you know what? I'm saying this is gonna be a big game for Slayton. We win tomorrow off the backs of Slayton.
I would love it. I would love it because I've always been a big fan of Slayton. And you know why? You know what? Another reason, y'all gonna laugh when I say this, but I'm serious. Another reason why I think Saquon gets traded. I have a collection of jerseys. Every guy's jersey I have ever bought on any team does not stay on that team. I got an Odell jersey collection in the closet. Victor Cruz. Eli Manning is in there. I think like right after I bought that, he got benched. KD asked for a trade. I got his. I mean, he's on the team for now, and I got that. Man, I got a Jimmy Butler jersey that I'm very scared might come back to bite me in the butt. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
What
somehow,
team?
some way. Miami. Some way. I got a long list of guys. I even got I bought D Wade's jersey. He ends up in Chicago the next season.
So you're saying
that's why I don't buy jerseys.
I
got bad luck. I got bad luck with jersey, and I got a Saquon Barkley jersey. So I'm just saying, if it happens, put the blame on me. You could put the blame on me.
You like
couple things. He do. A couple things. I think that since Dable is a big time offensive guy, quarterback guy to be specific, and he knows what a great quarterback looks like, and he knows that you need a great quarterback to win in the NFL. I think that it'll probably like if I had to pick, especially if both are having, decent seasons. When I say both, I mean Saquon and he. That'll probably be the one to go because he probably just say two things. This isn't my guy. I know what I want. And Daniel Jones, even though he doesn't have the weapons that, my boy Josh had in Buffalo, he doesn't have what it takes. Like I seen it. I seen the comparison or whatever. Um, so that the other thing is the Bears are really, really bad. The Bears are really bad. It's just that my Niners were worse on week one. Okay. Trey Lance started in the rain. Justin Fields beat the team that should have drafted him. So he had that added incentive to beat them. They're really, really bad. So I think that's a win for the Giants. And how I think this is a big time Saquon game. I'm talking 20 carries on the ground. You throw to him at least 8 times. I think he gets a lot of touches. All right. I think this is a big game for Bellinger too. We'll see about Slayton, but I think it's a big game for the ground game. Nice change of pace with Breida, and I think Daniel Jones dinks and dunks his way. Maybe you'll see since the receivers are somewhat depleted, that'll be an area of the game where maybe the defense for Chicago isn't expecting them to pop like that. So maybe you'll see some chunk plays, maybe a big one or two to Slayton. I don't think it's going to be receiver heavy for the offense tomorrow. I think it's going to be a lot of Barkley and Breida and a lot of Bellinger because that's a quarterback's best friend, especially when you don't have your big guns on the outside flanking you. But I see the Giants winning. They should win because the Bears are just bad.
I got an agreement with a coworker too, so I need them to win. But Thibodeau and Daniel Bellinger are leading their positions as rookies right now. With it's crazy because Kayvon's only played one game, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not saying I think. Look, if Saquon continues to play well, that's more. Believe it or not, there are Giants fans that would like to, not that they understand who he is. They know what they have in him. They have something good. And that's why they want him to go because this is 2022 and you don't win it. You don't win on. Look, I'm not even happy saying it. I want Saquon to be a Giant for the rest of his career. I'm just thinking like, all right, we want a first round pick that could, they might not even use the pick that they get for Saquon. They might take that pick and use it as a trade chip to trade up.
I mean, I get it. That's what good general managers, they do. But damn, like just the optics. Like let's say, like Kayvon and I, like Kay and I said, let's just say Saquon's having a Pro Bowl year. The Giants have 2-3 losses. That's gonna look.
Saquon leads the league in rushing right now.
Yeah.
I think it's tough because that's more of a rebuild move when you seem like you're a little more closer to getting better. So I feel like that trade sets you back a little bit when you should be trying to get better. Like you should be trying to trade Kenny Galladay for someone who can probably help or some picks or something that you can get that you can turn into something or something. But you should be looking to go forward, not looking to go backwards. And I think that trade sets you back a little bit, losing Saquon.
I don't agree because look, you can't get anything for who's trading for Kenny Galladay right now. You're not going to get what you want for Kenny Galladay.
No, you're not.
One thing I want to say. This is the thing that I love. Why I love Joe Shane compared to what we had to deal with the last couple years. In my opinion, probably one of the worst executives in all of sports. You got one guy in how long was Gettleman around for? I don't even like saying his name. He was there since 2017. So from 2017 to 2021, you had one good draft pick, Andrew Thomas. Drafted a lot of people. One good. Dexter Lawrence is cool, but not all that. Andrew Thomas seems like the only hit you got in all that time. And Gettleman's whole thing was we can win while rebuilding. I know that y'all exactly. Mike just put on a face that lets me know that's not a great comment. This regime has already let it be known we are rebuilding. We are rebuilding. Yes, we're winning, but at the end of the day, is it sustainable?
Yeah,
I think
it's
that
not
they realize that we have something in the coach that's getting him to, because we all agree that this is still a flawed team.
of course.
Exactly.
That's why I said 8 wins would be like, oof, you know.
They're winning in spite of a lot of things. I think that Shane realizes that he still has a lot of moves to make. And look, we've seen it across sports. Sometimes you got to move on from the best guy for the sake of the team. It just sometimes it has to happen.
I think if they do that, it's a money move. They don't want to pay him. That's the only way I
That
can
can
see
go
it.
into it too.
They
That
probably
can
don't
go
want to
into it
pay him.
too.
You get something for him before you kind of let him walk in free agency. But I think, like I said, Saquon being the best player, you think, let's say, because a lot of people don't think that Daniel Jones is the guy. You think Daniel Jones is not the guy. You figure you bring a good quarterback in there, and you're not going to get what you want for Kenny Galladay, but you can get something that can help you because he's not helping you at all right now. So if you get him, you get off of him for just someone that can bring something for you. I think it's a win by subtraction. So you think that you're closer. You just have to tweak a few things with Saquon instead of getting rid of him and be like, okay, let's try to build this thing from the ground up. Because I think if you tweak a few things, you're there already.
You can't even get a 6th-round pick for Kenny Galladay right now. The guy can't get any playing time. They don't want to play him. And then when they do play him, he shows you why they don't want to play him.
I think there's some teams, there's going to be a team that was supposed to be a contender this year, and things are kind of falling apart. You think you can trade for Kenny Galladay, not give up too much for him, and you think you just chop it up to it didn't work out in New York. Sometimes players go places and it doesn't work there. They go somewhere else and it works. So I think there's a championship team out there that had to take a chance on him thinking that it just didn't work out in New York. And that guy from Detroit, whether it was 1 year or multiple years, because some people say he only had one good year in Detroit, but that guy from that season or that guy in Detroit can come back outside of New York. We can get the best out of him over here, and he's not going to be the main guy for us. He's just going to be a piece to help us win.
I guess I could see, the Giants doing it just because of what you can potentially get for Saquon, because that's what Rich is talking about here. He's like, yeah, whatever, but I'm thinking of, and then you made the point, about money, and that could be the case too. But man, I just, I mean, look, this is the thing with the Giants. Tyrod Taylor's not probably not a guy that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl unless you have every part around you, and he will obviously be a substitute teacher, just a for now plan. But he's no scrub, so I guess maybe that's something I'm trying to make sense of. What Rich said, and what they would probably think of in making this decision. You like Saquon go or whatever, because you're still going to have Daniel Jones, but what I'm trying to say is, why did they go after Jimmy in the offseason? Jimmy Garoppolo.
They didn't go after Jimmy because I think ownership has a lot to do with Daniel Jones still being there. Personally, I don't think Shane and Daboll believe Daniel Jones is the guy because he's not their guy. But I think ownership has really pushed hard for Daniel Jones to still be there. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Eli factor. You are so in love with Eli Manning that you want more of that. You want more Eli, more, at least in his prime. And personally, I don't think he is Eli as a quarterback anyway. As an on the field player, I don't think he's Eli. Off the field, he's everything Eli was. His mannerisms are just like Eli's. He almost looks like Eli. It's funny, but it's true. Like, I think that they love that.
He's definitely, Eli, had that clutch gene, and Eli did it without, again, probably a bad comparison because it's the greatest quarterback of all time, but it's the first one I think about. Brady, and I get it, system, whatever, had great defenses, great running games. His receivers were not all that. Eli won with not so great a receiving core. Amani Toomer, I get it, that first go around. He had Plaxico was the best of the bunch, huh?
Amani Toomer was a shell of himself that year that they won the Super Bowl. Amani Toomer had been playing since the 90s.
Exactly.
He won that Super Bowl in 2008, 2007, exactly. 2008.
And then you had, Plaxico was there for the second one or the first one?
First.
The first one. He was the best of the bunch. And that wasn't Plaxico, peak Plaxico, but it was still decent Plaxico. So, I mean, look, I'm rooting for Daniel Jones. And I know you are too, but I would like to see them, kind of give him, like that's why I said, what the Dolphins did for Tua, the Giants, I'm hoping they get something like that done for Jones.
I think that the GM and coach, I think they came into this season saying we are tied up money wise. Let's just go
Mm-hmm.
in, see what we have,
Mm,
and
mm.
then make decisions from there. I think trying to make decisions not knowing what you have first was kind of like who knows. But to your point, they probably looked at it as it's a rebuilding year, but let's go in, see what we have first before
Yeah,
we make
yeah,
any decisions. So I think
that
maybe
makes
everything's
sense.
still up in the air at the moment. But I think if you think you have something in Saquon and it looks like you may have something at other positions, you keep him because you're closer to maybe just tweaking one or few things than kind of going backwards and rebuilding. Even if you get a first round pick for him, I think that's slightly rebuilding because you're gonna bring in someone
You're
who,
starting over.
yeah,
You're
you're
starting over.
starting over.
You're bringing in a rookie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think that's where this team look, man. I think first of all, sometimes you get rookies that come in and everything just clicks. They win right away. Especially you get good coaching. Tom Brady came in and won. You know, that can happen. And I think that this coaching staff seems pretty confident in their ability to coach up players, which is evident from what we've seen so far, because they're getting a lot more from this team than the two previous regimes got. But like I really feel like they're still viewing this as a rebuild year. And that's why, we're winning, but we are rebuilt. Like the GM said it, we are rebuilding. We are still rebuilding. And when you are rebuilding, again, we've seen this in other sports. Teams where they had one guy, he's a great player. He's a great player. But if we want to move forward as a franchise, we have to move on from him for the sake of the franchise.
You're right. You're right. I mean, we can't argue that because we've seen it not only in football, we've seen it in basketball. I'm not much of a baseball guy. You guys speak to
In the
that,
baseball
but
too.
I get it. I get it. I get it. It's one of those things that if that happened, it's gonna be like, how the hell the initial factor, especially New York media, how Saquon, look at the year he's having. But you look at the other side of it, and this is what can happen. This is what we got back. This is what we can get. This is what's in the draft. This is what's in free agency right now. Moving up, whatever. It's all, it's all about that.
I think this is a see what we have year, knowing
I agree
that
with you.
this is probably going to turn into a rebuild. So I don't think it's a rebuild, but I think based off the fact that that's where they think this is about a lead. You know what I mean? Because it's like we're gonna go see what we have, and with our money tied up in certain situations, like it's probably gonna turn out to be a rebuild because we're probably gonna have to break it down and figure everything else out. So I think it's to see what we have, knowing that this is headed into a rebuild probably.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think K I think that is probably the best summary anybody's come up with in regards to this team. With let's see what we have type. I think that's probably exactly what they came into this year thinking.
Because money's tied up a lot, so they know they have to be some changes. But come in, see what we got, see who's gonna stay, who's gonna go, who works themselves into being more tradable than maybe we thought they could be, and break it down from there. He's our type of guy. He's good, but he's not our type of guy. He played himself into being traded better somewhere else, and we go from there. Because they would have been coming in right now, not knowing like, okay, we seen how it went the last couple of years with the GM and stuff. So let's just get rid of him because it had just been randomly kind of picking from the outside looking in. So you get in
I mean,
first,
let's talk.
and you go from there.
Go ahead. I thought you were done, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Go
done.
ahead. I mean, look at was Kadarius Toney a first round pick?
Yeah,
Let's talk about guys like that. Like he hasn't had the career that people had, or
he's
whatever.
had one good game. And they've been trying to get to replicate that. I'm serious. He's had one good game, against the Cowboys, and they have been trying to replicate that performance since. It ain't all injuries. He's been on the field.
I was gonna say injuries have slowed them down a little bit,
but it hasn't been all injuries because he's played games after that and it has not been the same.
So that's I don't want to say bad drafting because that would be talking in hindsight. I didn't think he was first round pick material. Maybe a first round talent. Maybe a first round.
He's a Gator, right?
He's a Gator. But I'm not holding that against him. I'm just saying like.
No, I'm saying, but you've seen more of him than I did in college.
And he was a good player in college. He was very slippery, But I didn't think. Let me not say his game wasn't going to translate into the NFL. I wouldn't have taken him in the first round. And that's not to say he wasn't a first round talent. He was fringe, maybe second, third, maybe first. I just didn't think that's what the Giants needed. Yeah, they needed playmakers, but not him.
But that was the same year that Smith came out. They wanted Smith. I've heard that a lot. I think when you didn't get Smith, you reached for a receiver.
Yeah, and no, at that point, I mean, it's probably too late to trade down. But if you want a receiver, he just wasn't there. They took him because look, Smith was going to be a focal point of the offense, and Kadarius can be. But when they drafted him, that was like the guy. Was Ingram still around when they drafted him?
Yep.
And he didn't turn out to really do much because he's not even on the roster anymore.
No,
so
they now.
There you go. So they had big plans for him, and I don't think that was the guy to build big plans around. Not Kadarius Toney. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's a wait and see. I think Hayes summed that up perfectly, but we'll see how things go. I think they should be Chicago. I think they're not beating Green Bay. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Green Bay is replicating last season all over again. You looked at the first game like, oh no, and then like they went out and started winning
slow. And I'm pissed right now because A-Rod is my fantasy quarterback, and that's why I'm saying, hey man, I don't know. They could probably win that game. They ain't looking so hot, but they always start slow. So.
But they look fine since. I mean, they're starting to get. Did you see last week's game? Him and Randall Cobb were turning back the clock.
Mm-hmm. He can still get it done. 100% can get it done.
We'll wait and see. We'll see how everything goes. I think that was a great conversation. We'll definitely be talking more Giants, of course, as the year goes on. Let's go ahead and transition to hoops, though, man. Let's transition over to hoops. It's been a minute. We're getting into training camp. Last time we talked, man, I know it's been a while since we have been on this show, and we are going to do our best to make sure that we are consistently back with y'all. Last time that we had spoke with y'all was right before KD made the trade request. And since then he has rescinded.
Hello?
Yeah, it's been that long, man. It has been that long. Since then he has rescinded that trade request. Kyrie Irving has opted into his final year of the contract. Steve Nash is still around.
Ben is healthy and ready to go.
Ben is healthy and ready to go. The Nets themselves, Sean Marks did not give two damns that KD requested a trade. He looked at it as, I still have a good team regardless, and just because you asked for a trade doesn't mean I'm going to trade you. I'm going to get exactly, because look, man, when Sean Marks got the Nets job, the Nets had 0 first-round picks. 0. They made the deal with the Boston Celtics, and every single first-round pick is a Boston Celtic. Mm-hmm. So they had Sean Marks had a ton of work cut out for him. And that's why it was crazy to me that KD made the request to Josiah that Marks and Nash both get out of there. And I'm going to go for a whole point on this. Because Marks proved a lot before KD and Kyrie signed there that he was a good GM, because he turned a team with 0 first-round picks into a playoff team. He took on bad contracts for the sake of getting value back in young players or other picks. And then he took second-round picks and turned them into quality NBA talent. Some of the best players that were on the Nets, I mean, they're not on the Nets no more because, they had to do what they had to do. Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, not first-round picks, but top-tier, ended up being top-tier players. So he had an eye for talent outside the first round and was able to get high value out of what he drafted. So it was crazy to me that KD asked for both of them to go out for them to stay. especially with, I said what I said about Marks, but Steve Nash is only the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets because of KD and Kyrie Irving. So the guy that you wanted to be your head coach, you're asking for him to get out. Like it made no sense. I think that KD asked out because him and Kyrie are super cool, and he was looking for leverage to see if he can get Kyrie what he needs with Brooklyn. Look, at the end of the day, the Nets did what they have to do. They finally put their foot down, where it's like, look, you guys do not run this team. We do. And we're going to do what we have to do for the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets. And, we're here now. We got media day coming through. KD said what he said. Kyrie said what he said. I thought Kyrie, that's the best, presser that he's had in a while. And then Ben Simmons seems like he's ready to go. Ben Simmons had a great interview with JJ Redick the other day. I heard he ran into Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. had some good things to say about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons cannot shoot that great, but you know what Ben Simmons does well? Everything else. Ben Simmons does everything at a high level, and James Harden ain't there no more. I'm not gonna harp on that no more. I said what I said. It's a shame we didn't get to see that come to fruition because that could have been scary for the league.
Right.
But this is still a top tier team. This team can still win a championship with Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, and the offseason moves that you made. You don't sign these players on some rebuild stuff, So I'm excited, man. I think Brooklyn's still gonna be out here.
Yeah, I think KD's problem is that they haven't won a championship. If you think about it, their leverage, maybe they lost some leverage for the fact that you lost in the second round. Obviously, injuries caught up with them. And even last year, injuries kind of caught up. There's been some unfortunate situations, but when you're not winning, and when you come there to win championships, and you're not winning as much or bringing the championships you're supposed to, you start to lose some leverage. Because you bring them there before thinking like, oh, they're going to get us to the championship. And then now we're a couple of years in, and, because they're at the point now, it's like, okay, it's not like we just won 2 championships and we don't want to blow this thing up. We haven't made it that far, so if we have to blow this thing up, we'll blow it up because we already been to the second round anyway. So I think they lost some leverage there. And if you listen to KD, I think some of his problems was I don't think he wanted that Ben Simmons trade to go down. Obviously, I don't think he has anything against Ben Simmons, but we saw him hanging out a lot with James Harden during the summer. So his issue, like him and James Harden didn't have no issues. And he said, like, I figured
might have lost K.
Oh
no, he's back. K, can you make that? Can you finish up that point? We lost you a little bit.
Where'd you guys lose me at?
He said you were talking about Kyrie and you were talking about James Harden, how KD didn't want that to go down.
Yeah, I don't think KD wanted that trade to go down. You seen him and James Harden hanging out in the summer, and he brought it up. He said he felt like that roster should have stayed together a little bit. And he said they lost in the second round, obviously, but it was kind of due to injury. So I think obviously he doesn't have nothing against Ben Simmons, but he wanted that roster to stay together. And then they didn't give Kyrie the money, so. I think, like Rich said, he tried to flex like his power. Like, okay, you already got rid of James, trying to get rid of Kyrie, so whatever, I'm out, or whatever the situation may be. So I think they probably came to a handshake agreement. Like, listen, come back for 1 year. It doesn't work out, and then maybe we'll get rid of you because Kyrie's probably gonna be gone anyway. So let's just run it back one more time, and then we can go into this rebuild at least knowing that we tried. Because now we got Ben. You guys never got to play with Ben, so come give it one more year. A lot of people saying this is the Nets' best roster since KD and them been there. So let's do this like a handshake one last time, and everyone goes their separate ways during the summer because obviously this thing just didn't work out. If they don't,
Mike, can I throw something in there before you go?
No, I'm not leaving. I'm
not saying you leave. I'm saying like before you make your point.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm just glad that a franchise and a team put their foot down instead of giving way to a guy that is, I want to make a trade. Since when the hell? And I get it, this whole player empowerment thing, that's great, but it's a bunch of BS too. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, I want a trade. I want $1 million. Okay. I don't know. You don't always get what you want. Like, I don't care what you want to trade. So what, man? Figure it out. Okay. Figure it out. Get it done. And, that's it. So I'm glad that they won that quote unquote battle between KD and, themselves or whatever. They didn't budge. And this team healthy, man, they has a potential to finish as a top 3 team. Okay, Ben to me is a top 10 point guard in the NBA when healthy, and his head is on straight, his back is straight. Everything's okay with that. And then you look at the roster right now. Still, they probably need to make a few more moves. Starting lineup is straight. You got Kyrie, Harris, Durant, Simmons, and then Nick Claxton behind them. Patty Mills won a championship. T.J. Warren has playoff experience. Seth Curry's no scrub, and Markieff Morris, he's been around, has experience as well. But they got guys, and that's what is going to win. Like it's going to, and I get it. They I wanted to see James Harden more too. I wanted to see a full year of him invested in shape in a system because he hasn't had consistency for 2 3 years now. And I get it. You shouldn't need that because a lot of the inconsistencies were on his part. He was unhappy, and then him being in shape or whatever. That's why I think Philly's gonna. I think he personally is gonna have a way better year because he is set in a system and he doc coaching. His role is he's got to get in shape. Hopefully he pulls a Zion, and comes out looking somewhat in shape. But I think that was the biggest part in James. So and James Harden. So I think I get that's why KD may have been like, man, I wish we could have ran it back because I'm sorry, man. You talk about two of the best one-on-one players probably of all time. Definitely top 5, top 10 in terms of one-on-one offensively. Those two are got to be up there. So I get that. But this team, you make that trade, you just said it. You took the words right out of their mouth. The only thing Ben Simmons does bad is shoots, and that's including free throws. He does everything else great. So, perimeter defense, not Kyrie, KD is an underrated defender, all right, especially one-on-one. Maybe he could be a little bit better in help defense or whatever, but 6'10", 6'11" out there on the wing, that's gonna help. Interchangeable parts. I'm just excited for them. I pray they stay healthy, and I hope that there's no outside influence, no drama. I think that the head cases between Ben and all that, and then Kyrie and all that. I hope and I think it's a thing of the past because I think that this is years that they have to prove themselves because you saw the heat that Ben Simmons took the past few months or a year, whatever, not playing. And then same thing, with Kyrie. As a human, you gotta. I get it. Kyrie doesn't give a damn about what anybody says. He's just his own man, free spirit. But still, you're a human, man, and that stuff's got to chip away at you. And as a competitor, you're gonna want to shut people up. So as long as this team is healthy, man, I would love to see East Coast, West Coast. And I know I'm going way ahead, but Golden State Brooklyn finals.
What if it's Clippers?
Listen, listen, listen. If there's anybody to talk about health, that's the team I really need to stay healthy. Oh my God, I want to see that so bad.
Well, I found another topic once we get off this one. Okay, you got anything else?
Nah.
Look, the point I like, Joe Tsai invested a ton of money into this.
Yeah.
He has not gotten his return on his investment at all. And I mean, I talked to Kay a little bit about this in the past. Like, look, man, you got to give us what you promised. And I love that you brought up the player empowerment thing because I'm all for player empowerment. I don't think that it's fair that you poo-poo on guys for going to teams that they want to go play for in free agency.
Exactly.
And then you don't have anything bad to say about a team not honoring contracts and trading guys for the sake of the team. You should. It works both ways. If a team can do what's in the best interest of the team, a guy should be able to do what's in the best interest of himself. And I'm at a point now where the only time I think that it is okay for you to ask for a trade is if your team is just doing wrong by you nonstop.
Yeah.
Like it's just not like there's no hope for you at all. And the whole thing of AIDS to me has got you signed a contract. That's where I'm at with things now. Yeah. I've heard other people say with this, I'm like, at what point do we honor the contracts that we signed? I think these are things that I never thought about until now, where it's just like out of hand, where left and right guys are asking for trades. And sometimes these guys are asking for trades over situations that ain't even that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and they're treating it like, come on, bro. Like you're a professional athlete, you're getting paid. You play a child's game at a king's ransom, and I get it. There's things going into it, but I'm wondering how many of these things can be figured out if you could just sit down and talk like adults. Look,
Yeah.
man, Russell Westbrook is still on Lakers roster, and he ain't going nowhere. And we all know who they traded for in Pat Beverly. I'm one of those guys that thinks that they can get it figured out. You only got to like each other on the court. You only got to like each other on the court, man. And at the end of the day, half of these things or more of them can be figured out. You're adults by just sitting down and talking. Like it's just a bunch of pussification.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, we can get into that one too. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, man, Brooklyn is gonna be there, man. And I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the NBA that might work out in Brooklyn's favor. We don't have to talk about that. But you know.
I think yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on both sides when I think about it because sometimes you just like in your job, if you wanted to leave, you shouldn't have to, like, I guess, honor the contract in a sense. Like if you want to leave your job, you kind of just leave your job. So I'm kind of for them leaving, but I do get the like the point you said, because teams also kind of just trade people away whenever they want. So I don't know. It's like I'm in the middle. I don't know. I do like the old school way where
I'm
like
in the
guys
middle too.
when people just stayed on one team and tried to figure it out. But it's the new NBA.
I'm in the middle too, though. I am in the middle because, like I said, I think if you're not happy where you're at, you should be able to leave. But I just think it's gotten too excessive. I think that and I feel like NBA players today, as soon as something goes wrong, all right, well, I don't want to be here no more. Then I'm out. Or guys are to a level the competition factor, it really isn't there. And I fought this for a long time. The level of competition isn't there anymore because some guys are asking for trades because they're so good friends with guys in the off season that they just want to play with them instead of like, hey, we could be friends, but I'm trying to beat you.
Right.
Because I mean, look at who KD didn't. Where did KD ask to be traded to? KD specifically asked to be traded to teams that finished in the top 3 in both conferences.
And in KD's defense, I'm not trying to go to some middle of the pack or bottom feeder team either. So if I'm gonna leave where I'm at, I'm trying to go somewhere at the top.
Yeah.
You're not about to leave and go join the Spurs and try to make them a championship team. If I'm leaving where I'm at right now.
You don't have to go to a bottom feeder, but you can go to a middle of the pack team and say, I'm Kevin Durant.
What
middle of
the pack team would you go to if you were Kevin Durant?
The Bulls.
Who did he asked? He asked for Denver.
He said Miami.
He said Miami,
Boston.
Boston.
Bro, nobody's going to Denver.
The Western Conference Finals.
No one's going to Denver.
Chicago.
No one's going to Denver.
That's
and Miami was in the Eastern Conference Finals. But when you really look at Miami's roster,
they would have had to give up the farm to get.
But they could use a Kevin Durant.
Got the team to make it happen.
They could use a Kevin Durant.
Yeah, because you need like Jimmy's great. Jimmy, like, the cerebral play, like we used to say about Rondo. Jimmy takes that playoff mentality and I feel like he takes it a notch above Rondo, because Rondo doesn't kill you with scoring in the playoffs. Rondo kills you with his passing ability and his ability to dissect an offense when he's playing against you. Jimmy seems like his game is just all well-rounded for the playoffs. If he needs to score against you, he's going to get 40. If he needs to play defense, he's going to do that. If he needs to be a facilitator, he's going to do that. Man, I had a point I was going to with that. All right, I'm back on it. But you can only ask so much of Jimmy. Jimmy can't be your go-to scorer every night, because now teams know what they have to do when they're playing the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Jimmy and Bam last postseason seemed like he couldn't do it on a consistent basis. He would give you a good game, then he would give you a not so good game. Then he would give you another good game. Like you need a goal. Miami needs a go-to scorer, which KD can do. And to be honest with you, what are the situations KD has thrived best in? In situations where he's the focal point, but people are so worried about guarding other guys on the team that he can just do what he has to do.
Well, I mean,
debatable.
I love talking about KD with KK because
in OKC, he was the main guy people were worried about. Like they were like, let Russ be Russ. What?
Who was the alpha on that Oklahoma City team?
Right, Russ was the alpha, but when we're talking about how other teams, you said that other teams were worried about guarding somebody else. Other teams were worried about guarding Russ, but they wasn't like, we need to worry about Russ more than KD. It was like, we're going to worry about Russ, but there's a slight chance Russ might crash out, so we don't have to worry about him too much. We got to worry about KD because we know KD's not going to crash out by himself.
Yeah, and I get that. But Russ, as an individual player, gives you so much, especially at that time. Let's because whoever's listening to us right now, understand we are talking about Oklahoma City Russell Westbrook. Russ at that time gave you so much as a player that you always had to worry about him. You always had to worry about how you were going to be able to contain him because of how fast he was, what he was doing. Even back then, me and Mike talk about it all the time, how disrespected Russ is as a passer. Russ gave you so much on a night-to-night basis where he did react. Truth be told, and this is true, he did make things easier for KD.
Yes, but you wasn't worried about him offensively more than you worried about KD.
At that time, you weren't worried. The three-point shooting at that time wasn't as heavy as it is.
You were worried about Russ, but you were not worried about Russ more than KD.
I agree with that. And you were probably more worried about KD in the clutch than you were about Russ.
Because I don't know, it's tough. Russ gave you a lot passing, so you had to worry about him because he can get more people involved than KD could. But like, if KD's out there going,
he gave you a lot as a scorer too, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Russ gave you a ton as a scorer too, though. His jump shot and from the mid range was amazing.
Right.
I don't know what happened.
About him. That plus getting other people involved made him someone you definitely have to worry
about. And when he
was
getting to the rack,
because KD was just getting buckets. He's not getting other people involved. Russ is getting buckets and he's getting other people involved. So you can never say you didn't have to worry about him. You had to worry about him. But like, he can do all that, and they can still lose. The chances that KD's going off for like 50 there's a high chance that they're probably going to win that game because that gets other people involved because now you're too worried about KD. So it's one of those like pick your poison things. Would you rather have Russ go off? Would you rather have KD go off? You put your best defender on probably KD. I've seen some other teams switch it around because I think the Spurs put their best. I think they put Kawhi on Russ one time, like one series. But yeah, I think you're still worried about KD more in the long haul.
I'm not saying you weren't worried about KD, but I'm just saying like if you why is it that he asked to be traded to the best teams in the league? Nobody else thinks that's
because I mean, look, nobody ever has done it alone. And after playing with the Warriors, that was confirmed. Like, listen, you're up 3-1 against a 73-win regular season team and you blew it. Okay, so he knows I got to go to at least a team that has another 1A option and at least a solid B option. He knew that.
I think KD, if we're talking middle of the pack teams, you don't think KD plugs into Denver and they can't win a championship?
Bro, nobody is going to Denver. But nobody's going to Denver.
Have you been to Denver? Denver is not Denver is not Portland. Denver is not Cleveland.
We're talking about the roster, though. That's
a nice city.
But he's not going to Denver. Like, the roster, yes, he can plug in there.
Nice city. Denver's a nice. This is not Cleveland.
Roster was in
New
Let's
York.
name a place.
New York.
Nah, New York. If that same, I want
Chicago.
If that same
Man,
roster
I'm
was in
not letting
Atlanta,
you guys get away
if
with
that same
this.
roster was in Atlanta, he would have considered it. He's not going to Denver. He's not living in
Bro,
Denver.
you guys have clearly not been to Denver.
Bro,
No, I'm on your side on this.
Me?
Denver's a nice
your
place.
side on this. Yeah, I think Denver's I would move to Denver in a heartbeat.
Denver's a great city. Denver, this is not Cleveland. Nobody's going to Cleveland. If we were talking about Cleveland, I got your back. I'm with you all the way. Even Portland, if we talking about Portland, I'm with you all the way. Denver is not Cleveland. Denver is not Portland. Like, is it? You can have some fun in Denver.
Who's ever signed with Denver? Like who?
He got traded.
He got traded.
Oh, he got traded.
Who's ever going to Denver?
Yeah, but these guys, like, they want you. You think AI is just getting traded to Denver because he didn't want to get traded to Denver?
They had a good team. They had Melo.
There's
incentives to go there, but like,
there's incentives to go to Denver now.
He's not
going.
Like,
incentives to go to Denver,
there's
especially
incentives
now.
to go there. But like, AI wanted to trade out of where I guess it's the same situation. He's not going to Denver. Nobody's going to Denver. Like AI was probably like, I'll go to Denver.
Man. I don't.
AI was probably like, I'll go to Denver, but he wasn't like Denver wasn't on the top of his list. Like he wasn't going to Denver.
Hey, Kay, you're acting like Denver is Cleveland.
No, I'm just saying.
Not even close.
Who's going to Denver? Who's ever signed with Denver? It's like, okay, Denver's a destination point.
When has Denver been this good to make you want to sign there?
Melo should have been able to get people to go to Denver. I guess that was a different time.
Who was a free agent when Melo was in Denver that wanted to?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't. Did Kenyon Martin, did he sign there? Did he sign there? Did he get traded there?
I think he did sign there. They gave him a lot of money, though.
And that's when he was good. He was still Kenyon Martin,
I love Kenyon Martin.
But that was a long time ago.
But he's also
the league was different back then too. That's hard. It's hard to make comparisons because the league isn't what it is now. As far as
didn't move around as much. Well, no one's going to Denver.
Yeah.
Denver's a nice city, I'm sure.
He's putting his foot down on this. I just can't get with it. I can't get with it.
No one's going to Denver. It's a nice city. You would move there. He would probably move there. It's too cold. I'm not moving there. But I'm pretty sure Denver's a nice place. KD's not going to Denver.
KD has plenty of incentive to go to Denver if he really wanted to. One, from a basketball standpoint, that he's got it all there. Also, I'm aware of KD's extracurriculars. He would have a fun time in Denver.
When KD had options, he went to San Francisco. He went to New York. He's not going to no Denver.
That's a good point too. It sounds like a big city guy.
Look at the teams on his list. Have you been to Boston? Is Boston, San Francisco, and New York?
Boston was on his list. Boston got into it when they were willing to trade. But
we're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about lifestyle.
On his list though. Boston wasn't on his list. I think he was willing to go to Boston. I don't think Boston was on his list.
I know Miami was for sure.
Miami,
I know
Phoenix.
And even Phoenix. Phoenix is not the only difference between Phoenix and Denver as lifestyle choices is that Phoenix is hot all year round. It's outside of that, it's really not that different lifestyle choice wise.
Nah, bro. I'd go. Nah,
it's really not. It's really not.
People are going to Phoenix way before they go to Denver.
No, man, I don't agree with this. I don't agree. Mike, you said you got my back on this.
I don't know anybody that I guess I don't know who's in Denver.
Yeah,
but
you've never been to Denver.
Besides a skiing trip, who's going to Denver?
Damn. Look, I could name.
I know people who just go to Phoenix, who just go to Arizona.
I could name.
You know what? We got to take a guy's trip to Denver. Kay hasn't been to Denver. We got to take a guy's trip to Denver. Get Kay some Denver experience.
We going skiing?
I can name you 420 reasons to go to Denver.
But if you're KD, are you going to Denver?
Yes. Clearly, the cold doesn't bother him. He went to New York.
But that's New York. People will freeze in New York because it's New York. People are not just freezing in Denver.
He's got a championship team, cheaper cost of living, and there's a lot. And like Mike said, there's a lot of things that he can do in Denver. He's got a lot of lifestyle choices that he can partake in.
Nobody's just going to Denver. I promise you.
Nah, man. Mike, please back me up on this. No.
Like I said, 420 reasons to go to Denver, bro. And and I think that attracts a lot of different people to that area. But no, it's a beautiful city.
I'm
It's
sure
a
it is.
sports town. Is
Sure
huh?
it is. I said I'm sure it is.
And I think the only look, I've never been to Denver. I've never been to Phoenix. However, Phoenix is like the in terms of what I know in proximity to California, it's like the JV version of Southern
I've been to
California.
Phoenix. I've been to Phoenix.
So it's like the
I've been to
JV.
Phoenix and I've been to Denver.
So it's the JV version of Southern California, right?
It's the
Right.
Valley.
It's all right. It doesn't have a beach or anything like that. But
Oh,
honestly, the only thing that I probably think would set them apart because their cities similar in terms of attraction, I think it's just the weather, honestly. But I've
Rich,
never been there. So
you say you've been to both.
I've
Tell
been to
us
both.
right now. If you were KD, are you going to Phoenix? Or are you going to Denver?
I don't care. I don't care. They're both. I can win. I can
right.
win in both places.
All right, take it off the table. If you were going somewhere, are you going to Phoenix or are you going to Denver?
to live,
About
vacation,
basketball decisions. Basketball
We're
decisions,
talking
right?
living. If we're going to live somewhere, are you living in
living.
Phoenix or are you living in Denver?
I gotta look up the cost. I gotta look up the cost of living between
I,
both.
I, I
No,
probably,
no,
I
money
probably would
don't
agree.
matter. You're a millionaire. Money doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. You
I
going to live
probably
in
would go
Phoenix
Phoenix.
or you going to live
I
in
probably would go
Denver?
Phoenix.
I don't think what he's doing is fair right now, though, because
Why not?
because the original point that you were trying to make is that you were alluding that Denver is a whack city. Yes or
Right.
no?
Are you going to live in Denver or are you going to live
Denver's not a whack city. It's not a
Bro,
whack city. You can
all
enjoy
right, so
yourself a lot in Denver.
even if you want to say it's not whack, are you living in Denver or are you living in Miami? I mean, are you living in Phoenix? Which one are you going to?
That's not the original argument, though.
Yes, because
I was asking.
KD is making his decision based off where he wants to live. Where he wants to live is a big
He chose.
factor.
He chose. He chose. Not. He chose the Final Fours. He chose all the Final Fours. My whole
I don't
point
think
was,
Boston was on his
why
list.
didn't you? Huh?
I don't think Boston was on his list.
Even if Boston wasn't on his list, you chose Phoenix was a championship contender coming into the year. They laid an egg against Dallas.
They have a city he would want to live in.
Why wouldn't you want to live in Denver?
Bro, no one's going.
Because I'm like you're acting like Denver is Cleveland. That's all.
No, I'm not. But if you have a choice out of all the winning teams, you're gonna pick Phoenix over Denver because no one's going to Denver like that.
People are going to Denver.
You know what? I know there's probably no people from Denver in here watching, but I'm gonna post this clip on the gram. I'm not. No offense to all my people from Denver. I'm sure you guys got a very good city, but I'm just saying.
We just gotta get you to Denver.
KD, if you're KD, are you going to Denver or are you going to Phoenix? Living wise,
I got you right now. You know, to be honest with you, there's only one difference. And that's one gets a little colder, and then the other is pretty hot all year round. Honestly, the attractions are still the same. You can climb mountains on both. You can partake in certain things legally in both states. You can go clubbing. You can do a lot. And matter of fact, I think KD's hung out in Denver before. So I rest my case. KD could have picked a middle of the. Let's please stay on topic. I asked why he chose the top teams versus a middle of the pack team.
The whole reason we're here. He doesn't want to live in Denver.
No, I don't.
That's why he didn't choose Denver because he doesn't want to live in Denver.
Man, I'm about to go pull up. What was let me see the playoff standings last year.
Look, he picked Phoenix because Phoenix has a good team and he would live in Phoenix. He picked Miami because Miami has a good team and he would live in Miami. He did not pick Denver because Denver has a good team, but he does not want to live in Denver.
I'm pulling up the bracket. That's it. I'm pulling up the bracket.
Bro, he didn't want to live in Denver.
Philadelphia, you could have won. I wouldn't have even killed you for Philadelphia. Could have reunited with James.
I think Philly was on his list. No, Philly's on Kyrie's list.
Philly, a lot of teams are on Kyrie's list.
Bro, he didn't want to live in Denver. That's why he didn't put Denver on his list. He picked cities that had good teams and that he would live in.
You know what? I'll even give Ali because Mike was saying it earlier and we just kept brushing him off. He could have went to Chicago. KD put Chicago over the top. Literally what Chicago.
He doesn't like
literally what Chicago, huh?
He doesn't like Billy Donovan.
That's true.
He said
That's true.
Then you can get Billy Donovan out of there.
Nah.
he asked for it in Brooklyn. Why can't he do it in Chicago?
Because
you know what the literal one thing that Chicago was missing? A player of KD's caliber. Chicago has everything they need except a go-to scorer. Because I like Zach LaVine a lot more.
I mean, they got a go-to scorer. They just need another one.
No, they
Zach
need
ain't it.
The guy. Zach LaVine is a guy.
No, I'm talking about DeMar. I'm talking about DeMar. I'm taking DeMar right now, every day, all day over Zach. You know, all day.
Yeah, I'll even give you that. Why didn't he go to Chicago?
He doesn't like Billy Donovan.
He go to Chicago.
He doesn't like Billy
So get Billy Donovan out of there.
Bro, but he would have got traded there not knowing if he can get Billy Donovan out of there. And getting traded there and getting Billy Donovan straight out of there would not look good.
LeBron went back to Cleveland and got a coach fired.
He played for him.
LeBron gets every coach fired.
He played for him for a half a season or a whole season. He played for Black.
It was a whole season. It was a whole season.
He wasn't getting Billy Donovan. And then
after
those tweets that came out, for him to go to Chicago and get Billy Donovan fired, it would look real bad. He already said he didn't like the guy. You gonna go take his job?
Billy Donovan was a bad coach.
He doesn't like to take his job. That's why he's not going to the Bulls.
What do you mean? He had no problem doing it in Brooklyn.
That's a different situation. It's a slightly different situation. If I'm in Brooklyn already with a coach that I didn't just tweet about that I don't like him, and I asked for him to be fired, and I got that coach the job, and I asked for him to be let go, is different than if I was just like, I said 3 years ago I didn't like you, now I'm gonna come be spiteful and take your job and get you kicked out of here. And then I don't know how well that would look on the Bulls. How do the Bulls look trading for KD and then firing Billy Donovan right on the spot?
Like a team that wants to win. That's what they look like.
No coach who want to work there again.
No.
It would have been tough.
Not under that front office.
Nobody's gonna take that job. Nobody's taking Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic. Nobody's taking that five. Nobody's taking that.
Someone's taking it, but after that roster gets blown up, nobody's going there.
Not with that front office there. They won't trust them after doing what they did to pull KD. And mind you, that's a front office that is a grade A front office now. Thank God the guard packs day is over, and I have trust in them. It may have been a little bit faded after this LaVine handicap contract, because I swear to God I would have taken Russell Westbrook for him. I know I'm getting laughed at right now, but I promise you, I'll trade that black hole that calls himself Zach LaVine for Russell Westbrook.
Kill Zach LaVine like
that? Because he think. Look. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, and I like him too. I don't dislike. Part of me does dislike him, but let me tell you why. All right, I'm gonna tell you why. Remember when Vince, and I think I told y'all this before. Remember when Vince Carter made it a big point that he didn't just want to be known as an athlete and as a dunker, and because that's what everybody else thought of him as, and he made it a point to show that he can be more than just that, and he a complete basketball player, shooter, 3-point shooter, and he was good at that. Zach LaVine has Vince Carter syndrome, and the fact that he wants to show people, hey, look, I can shoot too, and yeah, you're a better shooter than you were that you became to the league, but you are not a better shooter than you are an athlete. And you forget that a 75% Zach LaVine can blow by 90% of the league, but you want to lean on the fact that you have a decent step back and you want to show people that, and he falls in love with it so much.
Okay.
That's the problem.
That's fair.
That's the problem. And I can't stand it, because you are Zach LaVine at your peak, not at your peak, at your 100% health. You're probably a top 5 athlete in the league.
That's you know what? That's why Billy Donovan needs to get out of there, because you should be coaching. So
I can't stand up for that.
KD will be justified again.
They had to fire Billy Donovan first, and then act like they snuck into the KD.
He would have already solved all their situations. Get a coach that's gonna make Zach LaVine do what Mike wants him to do, and then you get that go-to guy in KD. That's championship next year. Boom.
Yeah, well, that's why he didn't go to the Bulls.
You know what I came out of this conversation with? That we got to get Kayson to Denver. That's like number one on my list. We got to get Kayson to Denver. Because Kayson was out here acting like Denver was Cleveland. Kayson was acting like it was Nashville.
It's a nice city. KD was not going to Denver, though. He's not going to Denver. He's not
We gotta
living in
get you to
Denver.
Denver. We gotta get you to Denver.
He's not living
We
in
gotta get you
Denver.
over there.
All right, you know what we're gonna do? All right, we gotta find KD and ask him does he want would he live in Denver?
I know the answer. He's not going to admit it. I know the answer already.
And Denver's a nice city. He'll visit Denver. He'll go to Denver. He likes Denver. Am I living in Denver for a whole basketball season? Absolutely not. He's not doing it. He
Man,
lives
I
in
just can't,
San
I can't agree.
Francisco, New York. He's a big city type of guy. He's not going to Denver. No
He is a big
offense.
city type of
Who's
guy.
in Oklahoma? San Francisco's a
Oklahoma
major
is by
city.
force.
Is it?
That wasn't by choice, though.
Yeah, Oklahoma was
Wasn't
by
by
force.
choice.
And you saw
That was
when he
by
got his
force.
first chance.
But
he
you know,
got- he
don't
went out
even get
into
me
a big
started.
city.
Don't even get me started on that because he should. There should have never been a team in Oklahoma City. Maybe
Well,
KD
he
goes
got
to the
drafted by Seattle. They
Yeah,
moved. That wasn't by
exactly.
choice.
And then new ownership was so hell bent, so intent on moving them to Oklahoma City. And now you got the nerve to complain about how you're in a small market. Well, Seattle's not a big market, but it's bigger than Oklahoma City.
Bigger than Oklahoma, and it's a basketball town for sure.
Yeah. So, like maybe things work out differently. Do I feel bad for how things worked out in Oklahoma City? No. Thank God you got Sam Presti, who should have won Executive of the Year a long time ago and is on his way to rebuilding another contender. But that team should have never left Seattle. We're probably having a lot of different conversations if that team's still in Seattle.
Why? They're still in the Western Conference.
Yeah, but they're not. But they're not in Oklahoma City.
They would have got more people to go there, especially with that roster. A lot of more people would have came and played in Seattle than they would have played.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. It was tough getting people to come there, and that's probably part of their problem. Obviously, the Sam Presti did his job of filling out the rest of that roster, but they could have got a couple more big name role players to probably come in Seattle.
I got a big time. You probably could have got a big the way NBA is today. You probably could have got a big time free agent to go there.
So
now, see, I would live in Seattle.
But would you live in Denver?
I would live in Seattle.
There, though.
It does, but I would live there, bro. It's a basketball city. You got nothing to do but sit there, carry your umbrella around everywhere, and hoop.
We're gonna have a team over there soon.
They will.
They need to.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
that took a lot of turns.
yeah, it's all good though. Like next, maybe next summer, like spring break or something, we gonna hit up Denver.
Denver, my people in Denver, I love y'all. This is not about like Denver's a bad city, you hate Denver, this and that. Was KD gonna go play in Denver? Think about it.
I feel like playing that Joakim soundbite. Cleveland. You know anybody saying that they want to go to Cleveland on vacation?
Tell me not. He was really acting like Denver's Cleveland. Did he not come on that way?
We're thinking KD's not going.
He's doing it right now. He's doing it right now.
He lives in New York. New York is not Denver.
New York is New York, though. Yeah, New York is New York. But
New York is
Denver's a great place to live.
It's not a big city.
Is San Francisco? San Francisco's a major city, but is it a big city?
I think.
In California, it's one of the biggest cities.
I think it's
it's bigger than the capital of Sacramento.
It's big enough.
I think I think lifestyle played a part, but KD ain't go to San Francisco. It was Oakland at the time, not even San Francisco. KD ain't go there for lifestyle.
Not slightly. It was like lifestyle was a factor in there.
It played this much of a part.
Nah,
it was a bonus. It was a bonus.
He went there because of the roster.
Yeah, it was a bonus. Lifestyle was a bonus. It was an add.
But that's also come on. Now we're getting to the point where it's like I like the Joker, but like Steph, Clay,
Joker, Jamal Murray.
It's not close.
I'm gonna put it to you like this: if that Warriors roster was in San Antonio, he would have went to San Antonio.
Yep, and he would have enjoyed the Riverwalk.
He would have went to San Antonio because he was going to where he could win.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think KD was where his mind. I mean, let me go to the team. Like I said, they just lost to them and they were up 3-1. So if that roster was in Washington, he would have went. Hometown, he would have went.
But
imagine if KD.
I agree with that, but that's also now we're getting to the point where it's like, all right, Steph, Joker, Clay, Jamal Murray. Like you'll probably follow Steph, Clay, and these guys. I'm not following the Joker and Jamal Murray.
I'm not. But yeah, but now we're adding in. Like we were just talking about that. Just like I'm these aren't current things. Like I'm not saying like it's it's Warriors or Nuggets. That's not what it is right now. I'm just saying like you asked to go play with the team that just went to the NBA Finals a year ago and was one of the favorites to win it, versus a middle of the pack team who was in a Western Conference Finals in the past.
If that roster wasn't playing in Denver, he might have went. He's not. He doesn't. He wasn't living in Denver.
Mike even just said it. If you had that Warriors roster in San Antonio,
right?
He's going. San Antonio's not that big. It's a major city. It's not a big city.
But that's Stephen.
That's
Stephen Clay
of Texas.
But that's Stephen Clay. That is Stephen Clay. You will go to San Antonio to play with Stephen Clay.
Yeah, and you should. If you believe in your basketball abilities. You know that I can win with Jamal Murray and Jokic.
Coming off an ACL tear.
He would have stayed. Clay came off an ACL tear.
No, not before KD got there. He tore his ACL.
There were rumors that he was willing to get traded over there.
No, that came up later. The Warriors wasn't on his list.
Okay. Look, I don't know. We're not going to get with that one. All I know is we got to get K to Denver. We got to get K.
He would have welcomed the trade to Denver, but Denver's not on the top of the list of any top free agent. I don't care who's over there. No top free agent. Denver's not on the top of the list.
Got to get you to Denver.
Yo, how many people has requested trades or became free agents in the last 10 years or whatever? Who's put Denver on their list?
Well, that's also part of because Denver hasn't been what they've been in the past 2-3 years.
Okay, so
like winning.
Is Aaron Gordon happy in Denver right now?
Let's start from the bubble. Jamal Murray went off in the bubble. Now you're like, okay, I think Joker won MVP the next season. Now you're like, okay, it's a viable destination. Who has still asked to go to Denver?
Aaron
Nobody.
Gordon.
Who has asked to go to Denver?
Now y'all disrespect Aaron Gordon out here, man.
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon is a nice player. He should be asking to go to Denver. He doesn't have many options.
Nope.
All right. We'll continue this next week.
You know what? It's funny. In like a week or so, it's gonna be a top player request to trade, and watch Denver be on the list.
You don't want that to happen. You don't.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised.
I told you so. They got coaching. You got and to be honest with you, you know who one of the teams that probably has the best home advantage out of all the teams in the NBA? Denver, because
of the altitude.
Because of the altitude.
Denver, I love y'all. I believe it when I see it, though. I believe.
Did Bruce Brown get traded to Denver, or was it a free agent move? Did Bruce Brown get traded?
It was a free agent move.
It was a free agent move. I mean, I guess I'm reaching when I say Bruce Brown.
You are reaching. You are.
Wait, wasn't he a first rounder?
We got he's a Miami. He's a Miami guy.
He's a Miami guy. Wasn't he a first rounder? He was a first rounder. Wasn't he in the lottery? No, he was a second rounder. I'm sorry. Bruce Brown was a second rounder, 42nd pick in 2018. Okay, my bad. First round talent though.
Hey, Bruce Brown's in Denver now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Lonnie.
And when it happens, y'all, everybody tag me on Twitter. I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it words, but no,
I got it. It's not even the same sport. It's not even the same sport.
Don't say hockey.
Russell Wilson went to Denver.
That's just Trey Manning went to Denver too, and when both of them went there, I was questioning like, why are you going to Denver? I'm not gonna lie to you. Peyton got a Super Bowl out of it, but I'm like, Denver?
Mike, we got to get him to Denver.
Hey, I'm for it, man. I'm for it, and I'll be in the cabin. I want to go in the winter. I ain't leaving from that cabin. I ain't leaving from the cabin, bro.
I don't know. Football's different. Is Denver is the Broncos like some type of historical team?
Yeah, Smile High.
Mile High, John Elway. Yeah. You know, they've been to some Super Bowls.
Shannon Sharp.
I think that's why they went to Denver.
I mean, he was literally the missing piece.
Yeah, but Denver's not. I'm not gonna say it because if people stop watching us every time I bring it up, I'll tell y'all off air. I was gonna mention a certain team that historical context, but I'm not going to do it. I'll leave it at Denver is not. The Denver Broncos aren't the same team that they were back then.
Don't be. The Knicks ran bad. So
why you had to go there for? I didn't say who was. I had to go there for.
The Knicks are just ran bad. That's their problem. So that's why people aren't going there. Denver, I don't know. Football is different. People go to Denver in football.
Russ, I heard part of the reason he went there was because that offense was similar to what they had in Seattle, and he was comfortable with that. But Denver's a dark horse for me, actually. I think kind of like
coach is holding them back. You know that.
There you go. But kind of like what kind of like the situation was when Peyton went there, that he was literally the missing link. I'm not saying Russ was the last thing that they needed, but I got him as a dark horse, and within the next at least 2 maybe 3 years, to make some noise, to make a deep run. I think that's coming for Denver within the next 2-3 years, a deep run in the playoffs.
Fire the coach, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, man. No more 64-yard field goals. Jesus.
Yeah, no more clock. Terrible clock management.
Goodness.
Yeah, bad stuff. I guess let's get into one more thing. 1.5. We'll save the last. It's a funny one. Clippers, man. Clippers. Everybody's back. I think we've seen we've seen a lot from them. I'm gonna stop poo-pooing on Paul George.
Yes, please.
I will. I promise. This year, I think, is the year. I think that the long lap, I think the Lakers will be better, but I think it is finally the year that the Clippers bring one to Clip City.
Listen, man. Go ahead, Kay. No,
I got a quick one. I think they just need to stay healthy. Obviously, we talked about the trades that they made last season. They look like they made those trades for this upcoming season. Paul George has been injured a lot. Kawhi obviously coming back. I think they need to stay healthy, and then they're right up there. I think they have the pieces to guard the Warriors out there on the wing. So I think they have a solid chance. Their problem is just staying healthy. Obviously, we all believe in the coach.
Your third option on that team is a John Wall, who in his prime, his best years with the Wizards, was a top 3 point guard, top 5 point guard in the NBA, definitely top 5, arguably the top 3. He's your third option, and I get it. His thing was, he can't shoot. As long as you get John Wall to shoot, then you've won the matchup. But still, a guy that could score is your third option. He's not going to have to do much but distribute to guys, because he's probably not going to want to score. Okay, because I do think that if the Lakers are healthy, they can make a conference finals push. I do think that. I really do.
Dude, Mike, do I get my dream of LA versus LA?
Bro, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't know if it's LA, or one of the LAs in Golden State. If everybody's healthy, and then Phoenix, I don't know, or Denver, it's between those 3 teams. If they're healthy and health is on all 3 of those sides, I think the Western Conference Finals is LA, or one of the LAs in Golden State.
I mean, we'll see about the Lakers. I think that the Lakers are going to be a better team this year than they were last year, which isn't saying much. But I definitely expect a lot more from the Lakers this year. The people questioning the whole Beverly being on, like, you see Russ and Beverly are interacting with each other.
Man.
I am worried about Russ, though. Like, I am wondering what's going on there.
I'm not, because look, man,
I get thing.
Huh?
So he put up his house.
Oh, he did.
Should I make that a big deal? Even the way he's answering the questions, like when they're asking him, like, just about the whole trade rumors and things like that, and he was like, sometimes you work for a place where people don't like you.
I hope that's different. Again, so many of these things can be figured out by just sitting down and talking it out like freaking man, bro.
But you know what, Mike? Like, I don't get, because I heard that they did that. I heard that him, AD, and Bron did that during the summer. So I don't get, like, there's so many reports out there that I don't even know what to believe anymore.
LA media, bro. I didn't even hear about the whole putting up his house for sale thing. Like, when did that happen? Was it just now reported? Or
maybe like
just now?
Hey, did you hear it?
Yeah, but listen to the question. Did was that just reported, or did he just now do it, or both? Because if he just did it, okay, kind of weird. But if he did it a while ago and it was just now reported, then that's different. I don't know. I'm picking and choosing straw because I really want to see Russ do good in his own town. Like part of his what's the like for lack of a better phrase, unsuccess or lack of success last year was because everybody was hurt. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of hurt, and it was a bad fit. On top of it being hurt, the guys that were supposed to be healthy, they were hurt. Even LeBron said he's like, man, we weren't good last year because we weren't on the field. I'm on the field, on the court. How many games did those guys play together?
Well,
I don't even think it was 20.
We've said that too. Like I said, how you guys are killing Russ. When Russ came in, I think Russ was all for what they asked him to do. You're a third option on this team. I think he was all for it. And every night you were asking Russ to fill a different role because somebody else that was promised to be his running mate wasn't there. So I think that was a thing of disaster. And I mean, it wasn't just those guys that hurt. I think, the Lakers signed a Kendrick Nunn thinking that they're going to get Miami performances out of him. He just was sitting there collecting checks wearing street clothes. There's a lot of things there. I think coaching, I never really loved the idea of Frank Vogel being the coach. I understand Frank Vogel's a good coach. I like Indiana, Frank Vogel. I never liked Frank Vogel with the Lakers. I'm expecting a lot more from Darvin Ham and what they got going on in there. And I expect to see a different product on the field. And hopefully these guys can stay healthy. Because you know what? We can just say it right now. Health is the expectation for both LA teams.
Yeah. They just added Schroeder. I still think Russ is going to start. Okay. That's how I see it. And they just, they added Lonnie Walker too. So, they want to go younger. They want to go athletic and stuff like that. But
they got a steal out of Lonnie Walker, man.
Yeah, man. That V for sure was a first rounder. I think he was just outside the lottery, maybe.
Yeah, but that's the Spurs. Spurs get that all the time, man. They get a Spurs.
Right.
A team that can draft.
Right. But Austin Reeves, a nice player, kind of in that Caruso role. But we'll see. Again, health, man. Health. And if you're asking me, between LA and LA, like which one I think is gonna have a better season, that's a tough question. Because they're built so different. You know what I mean? You got the wing over here, the JV version of Mike and Scotty, okay, with the Clippers. And I say JV version because they're both capable, but obviously far apart in what they've success in their success. But in that mold, shooting guard, small forward. That's why I said it. And then you have a team that can have with Anthony Davis, one of the best bigs in the league if he's healthy. And then, a historical top 5 player in LeBron who knows how to win. And then you got the wild card in Russ, with the nice bench pieces. They're getting a whole culture remake with Darvin Ham and, physicality and all that stuff. And they don't play around. And then you bring in an enforcer to back up that mentality. It's just about buying in with them. And I don't think Braun's going to run things how he has been his whole career with that staff. I just don't see it. And then look at the assistants. Isn't, what's the name? With the Pistons, isn't he on the roster? Who's with the Pistons? Wallace, isn't he on the coaching staff? No, Rasheed. Yeah, Rasheed Wallace. He's on the coaching staff. They ain't listen, man. The coaching aspect is probably what's gonna health and the coaching aspect for the Lakers. That's gonna be a whole different ball of wax for this team and why they look different. It's got to be those two things.
Yeah, I agree with you guys are saying. They're saying that so far the starters are Russell Westbrook and Kendrick Nunn in the backcourt.
Kendrick Nunn starting?
Yeah.
That ain't going to last.
So we'll see how it goes.
I hope to see. I'll tell you what I hope to see. Start Schroeder at the 1 and move Russ to the 2. Move Russ to the 2.
I don't like it.
I like that.
Russ can't play off ball.
But he's already the third option.
He's already the third option. He's still the point guard. Russ can't. He's never. It's unfortunate. He's never been able to play off ball.
I think he can. I know we've never seen him do it. I think
you can't ask a guy that has no perimeter game to play off ball. You can't.
I can.
Why not?
I can fight back a little and said he played off ball a lot in Houston, and it kind of worked out.
But the dynamic in Houston was different because it was my turn, your turn, kind of. I don't know. I don't like comparing the Houston thing. That was just a different situation. Like. What they were running over there. I wish they didn't break that team up, man.
They had to. Because they weren't going to win. They just
I really think they could have been more if they didn't deal with the injuries that they dealt with leading into the bubble.
that's very true.
That could have been a big pest for a lot of teams. They
Because
would have given the Lakers a bigger run for their money.
wasn't Chris Paul hurt for in a series when they were up
I'm talking about
3-2?
I'm talking about the Russell
Oh, the
Westbrook Rockets.
Russ. Oh, the okay. Yeah, they had to break them up. I don't think that team was going to win the championship.
They could have made a run. I don't know.
They could, no, for sure. Run, yeah, but winning a championship, I didn't think it was
with the D'Antoni team, you don't expect championships from Mike D'Antoni led team.
I don't take him. Listen, if the Bulls would have hired him, I would have gave up my fanhood. I would have threw up, and I would have turned into a Knicks fan or something. Because that's one dude that I don't like him as a coach, man.
It's regular. You know, you got regular season players. That's regular season coach. And you know, you can't even say that that's an unfair label because we've seen it in 3 different franchises now.
That's high school basketball that he likes to run. I don't like that. And they even play defense in high school basketball. And I'm sorry, I get there's no shot clock in high school basketball. At least when I play, I don't know. I'm 38 years old, but that I don't like his style of play, man. It doesn't win. It just doesn't win.
It's fun to watch though. Look, man, I think if the Clippers can stay healthy, I think you check off every box. And I think for John Wall, especially the stuff that he's saying, you know, definitely big praise to John Wall. You talking about mental health and things like that. Some of the stuff he's been coming, because even, you know, people don't. We look at this all as entertainment and never stop to look at these players as human beings.
Which is a shame.
So I feel like John Wall is coming back from a lot. And this is probably the best situation that he can be put in, where he doesn't have, you're not a focal point. We understand that you're not, and we've said this in this show too. We understand that you're not the John Wall of Washington anymore. But you know what? You don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
No,
this is comeback player of the year, bro. You heard it here first.
I'm with you. And you know what else? I think that he has a Derrick Rose type of resurgence as far as his shooting game goes. I think that he's going to come back because he's not the same athletic player.
Right. Good point.
That he's going to sit there. And I said that too. If he comes back like D Rose did, where he adds that next element to his game.
And it doesn't have to be a jump shot. It could be a floater. You know what I'm saying? Again, you don't have to be effective, a good point guard you don't have to score. Sorry, you don't have to score to be a good point guard. And, you know, I'm not comparing him to Rondo, but this is a comparison in the sense that I've seen Rondo dominate games where he scores 7 points. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's not really John Wall's game. He is a scoring point guard, but the guy can set you up. He's not dumb. He can set you up. He could break down a defense, you know, with the dribble and you know, set guys up. He could break down a defense that way in terms of, you know, what he sees with his point guard eyes and his point guard skills. But again, the pressure's off, man. And I love that. And guess what the other part is? He has fresh legs. However old he is, let's call it, I don't know, 33. He has the legs of a 29-year-old, 30-year-old. And that's going to matter, especially come playoff time.
But you know what, Kay, before you go in, I don't know if you guys saw John Wall playing Houston, you know, before they shut him down and then he sat out the whole other season.
Mm-hmm.
He was looking good. He was looking good.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's better.
I don't really have much to say, but they just got to stay healthy. Like I said, they made the moves last year. Did they bring in Covington? I think they brought in Covington.
Yeah, they did.
They did Covington and stuff. So they made those moves to obviously go for it now, knowing that those guys are going to be back this year. So I'm waiting to see how it goes. Like I said, I think all of us here are a big believer in Ty Lue. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. One more thing. Minnesota finishing in the top 4. How do you guys feel about that? Because that is a nice looking roster on paper.
On paper,
I like what they did against Memphis. They showed me something against Memphis. I'm not a big believer in Cat, so we'll see how it goes.
Neither am I. I like Cat. I like Cat, but I'm not a
believer in Cat.
Yeah, I like him. I think that's Anthony Edwards' team moving forward, and that should be something to watch out for.
That is something to watch out for because it ain't supposed to be Anthony Edwards' team. At least not yet. Not supposed to be.
Yeah, but
But
that's
they
just a
do
team.
have on paper because even like I've been arguing with people about D'Angelo Russell. Where I'm like, bro, D'Angelo Russell still got game. You know,
Hell yeah.
he's on a team where he's not. You're not gonna get Brooklyn D'Angelo Russell on Minnesota because he's playing
Nah.
with Carl
He
Anthony
has.
Towns, and Anthony Edwards now. But he can still if you need him to be that guy, he'll still be out here, doing it. But
He, I think he's gonna have to play better this year. I think them losing Patrick Beverly. I think they lose a little bit of heart and soul. So
they do.
who's gonna step up there? I think he needs to play a lot better this season.
But
So
he's
not a
another
big
one.
believer in
Like
Cat.
that's a great point guard to have. Like same way we talk about other guys being disrespected as floor generals. Like D'Lo's passing ability got a lot better in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's solid, but I don't think he played well in that series. So I just think losing Patrick Beverly, they lost a little bit of that. So I want to see who kind of
Yeah,
brings that for him this year because
I agree.
that's kind of what got them over. It's that
I agree.
toughness. So they got.
I
I want
agree.
to see who brings that for him.
I agree. And then the only other thing I want to know is you're going from playing Carl Anthony Towns at the 5 to now playing him at the 4. How does he do
I
running?
think it's gonna be good
I
for him.
forgot about Rudy Gobert.
I think
Oh
that's gonna be
God.
good for him, man.
Ugh. They might be solid regular season.
I think he just lost K.
They might be solid regular season playoff time. I don't believe in them at all.
Because
Yeah.
of Gobert.
Didn't we have
Yeah.
this? Didn't we do
Yeah.
a show after Gobert went over there with you, Mike? Or
That
was that just a group chat? That might have been a group chat thing.
what
Probably
might
was a
help
group
them
I
is
think
that if the teams take Gobert off the floor, you now move Karl Towns back to the 5, which shouldn't hurt you that much in theory. So you should be able to that might actually play better moving Cat back to the 5 in some cases. So in the playoffs, it could work out for them. But then that takes me back to I'm not a big believer in Cat. So
Right. Mm.
And
I don't know.
here's my biggest thing with that too. They didn't make this move for Gobert to not play in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Then I don't know why they made the move. I don't know why they made the move.
You made that move for Gobert to push you over the top.
I
and
mean,
he
listen,
couldn't play in
it's
those
two
last 2
bigs
minutes.
in the lineup. It's two bigs in the lineup. So I guess yes, you can pull both bigs out, but as a defense, you're gonna try to have at least one of those two rim protectors back there. So it'll probably be teams are gonna pull Gobert out, but as a defense, you gotta find it. I mean, go zone, man. Everybody's forgetting that we can do that now. What the hell?
That's a solid point because someone gets past Gobert. You think Karl Anthony Town is back there to
You
protect
know
the
what I'm
rim,
saying?
but they were getting killed on 3-pointers, so that again brings him back to the same problem. Cat's gonna be his instinct is to come over and help because he's a shot
Right.
blocker. You're leaving
Right.
someone open in the corner, so they're having the same problem Utah just had.
Yeah.
So that's a good point though. I don't know how it's gonna work. That's gonna be an interesting team. It's gonna be a very interesting team.
Cleveland, top 3 team in the East.
Listen, they're definitely a top three team in that damn division. Okay, Bulls fan, resident Bulls fan here. But that trade pissed me off so much when they
I
picked
didn't
up.
see that one coming. Now
Nobody did.
you got Karis LeVert coming. Remember when they traded for Karis LeVert and we were just like, well, that's your starting 2 guard now. Now you got Karis LeVert as your 6th man.
Oh,
And I think Kevin Love's coming off the bench too on that team.
Yes, bro, that's a solid team. I wouldn't say top three in the East because in the East, in no order of appearance or whatever, the Bucks, Philly, Boston.
Without getting into the conversation, let's
Bucks,
take Boston
Philly,
out of the
Nets.
top 3.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know about Boston.
Yeah,
I
let's
don't
take
think the
Boston
coaching
out of the
situation
top.
is gonna. I don't think it's
The
gonna mess
coach's
with them that much.
situation is literally what put them in. He was the only coach to get something
Yeah,
out
but
of
they
that
have a better
roster.
roster now. They have a better roster now. Brogdon is a big deal.
He is. But
That's
you
a big
still,
deal.
I don't know if you can keep that same thing. He got something out of Jaylen Brown and Jason
He
Tatum
did. He did.
that the previous coach couldn't do.
But see, now that they've been there, done that, they kind of know what it takes and how it takes to get there. And that coaching staff as a whole is not bad because remember, Stoudemire on that bench. Let me look up who their staff is because Stoudemire, they even said it. A lot of veterans are on a 34-year-old, whatever his name is, head coach now, the interim head coach. But that staff, let me go ahead and pull up Celtics coaching staff.
I just don't know how they're gonna bounce back from everything that happened right before the season starts. So I'm not confident in
That's
them.
a
So
lot. Yeah,
it could
that's a lot of
it could
noise.
go
That's a
either
lot of
way.
noise,
Yeah,
They
bro.
but
didn't
it's
start last season off too great, and you're kind of back at point zero. So you gotta figure out how to. I don't know if he's gonna try to run the same offense, run a different offense. Like they're too up in the air for me right now to know. I rather believe in the Nets, the Bucks, and Philly. The Celtics are too up in the air
Yeah,
for me.
throw the
I
heat in
think the
there.
Cavs can jump
Yeah,
the
throw the
Celtics at
heat.
the moment.
I do too. Yeah, it's crazy. You threw the heat in there, bro. That hurts.
Yeah, in the Heat.
the Heat. I mean, let me answer you. So the Celtics staff right now: Will Hardy, Damon Stoudemire, Ben Sullivan, Joe Mazzulla is now the head coach, Aaron Miles, Tony Dobbins. But the East, man, like
The East is
I
a
still,
different.
I'm not. I gotta see it first because look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying coaching doesn't play a factor, but bro, it's not like if there was this internal conflict, players were involved, coach, people aren't getting along. He may bone the chick and whatever. He's not going to be around. The players are going to be talking to him. That does just because he's suspended for the season doesn't mean that
I
he
think he's.
has
I think he's on his way to getting fired. The way that
probably, probably, but I really don't think it's going to affect them to the grand scheme of things where it's a whole like a 20-win turnaround or whatever. To me, I think they're still a top three team in the East. Okay, are they going to miss his coaching? Yes, because dude got them to be the hottest team in the second half of the season, literally. Right. So again, in no order of appearance, top three for me, or no order of whatever: Milwaukee, Boston, Philly. Wild card, Miami, maybe Cleveland. But yeah, that's how I see it.
I don't know what
anything
to
else to get out of here?
I don't know
Go
what to
ahead.
expect from Boston. I think they're too up in the air. We'll see how it goes. They brought in new players. They lost the coach the day before the season starts. Let's see how it goes.
Fair.
Yeah, I think, man, but I think the basketball this year is going to be fun, and it's crazy because we say this every year, but it's like the NBA when these teams do what they do, just jumps another level. Because you got Atlanta with the moves they made, you got Cleveland with the moves they made.
The Bulls with the moves they didn't make. God damn it.
Teams are doing some things, man, on both sides between the East and the West. So it's definitely going to be fun to see. Even I'm even excited for teams that I don't expect to make the playoffs, but just want to see make jumps. Like I'm excited to see what Detroit does this year. I'm excited to see what Houston does this year. I'm excited to see how Oklahoma City, even without a Chet, can take a step forward with Josh Giddey in his second year and what Shea can do.
Shay's missing
Um,
the beginning of the season though, so that kills him a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, I know that. I'm just excited overall as an NBA fan.
Same. I'm ready for see how things go. Preseason
I'm not,
started.
man, because Lonzo's knees freaking bummed out, and he was trying to avoid surgery. Now he's gonna have surgery. The dude can't even bend his leg past. I think he said like 30 something degrees. He said something like that or whatever it was. I'm pissed off about that because they tried to do therapy on it to see, to avoid, surgery, and I get it. But now he's gonna go into surgery. It seems like, and Lord knows how long that's gonna take for him to have him cut out. They signed freaking Goran, which was funny because in the Bulls media day they kept asking about the Derrick Rose dunk. And
That's
but
foul.
yeah, no, it was. But
I like
yeah, I mean,
You don't like Goran? You don't like Goran
no,
over
I
there?
love Goran. I love Goran, and I think he's still gonna be. People are saying, oh, he's not gonna give you, heat Goran. I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to say that. The Bulls healthy. That was solid roster, man. And the only reason they didn't finish near the top was because they couldn't stay healthy. Talking about health with the Lakers and the Clippers, this is a team that health was the central reason why, not defense, even though their defense sucked with Vooch in the middle, but I'm looking at their roster right now. Ayo is going to get more playing time, and that's because Goran's
You
coming
got
off the
Kobe
bench.
White over there, right?
I'm ready to trade him. Um, Zach Levine, DeMar, Pat Williams is going to be huge coming back, and then Nico. So you sign Drummond. Javante Green is a jack of all trades. Same thing with Alex Caruso, and Goran's a leader. So we'll see, man. We'll see. They don't have a roster that's going to threaten and make opposing coaches fall asleep. I'm sorry, lack sleep. But if they're healthy and assuming Lonzo comes back, we'll see. That's just a
Lonzo's a
big
difference
assumption right
maker.
now.
Lonzo's a
100%, man.
he's a because you can
Damn.
say what you want about his game and everything. He's a difference maker on a team. Like I like when people he's not Jason Kidd, but I still like when people compare him to Jason Kidd because it's like the same dynamic. Throw him on a team and that team just looked different. That guy knows how to run an offense. I'll give him
Yeah,
that.
man. And he's a defender. He's an improved shooter. So they're gonna miss him. They're gonna miss him. Which is
And
why
we getting the Jello Mello show this year. So that maybe, but that'll be
maybe,
fun too.
maybe that's the team that's making. I got Charlotte making the play-in. I hope they make the playoffs, man. I got them making the playoffs. That's gonna be my bold
Same,
prediction. I got them making the playoffs.
same. I'm with you. But yeah, man, definitely excited for this stuff, man. Mike, thank you for being on again. We got to do it again. Maybe we could do it again next week.
Let's do it.
We'll definitely see. Glad to be back with y'all, man. I know this was a spur of the moment thing, but we haven't been back in a while. We've really been trying to get this going for a minute. Trust me. Want to thank all you guys for tuning in. But for Rich, Kayson, Mike, that'll do it, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.